Hey, this is Charles Carter, and welcome to another evening of conversation about model aviation. We're going to be talking about building and flying, um, hopefully some show and tells um, about model aviation. Man, what you did this week since last time we met? We usually get together every Monday evening and Friday evening, and speaking of that, like to ask you to keep it family room friendly. Don't say anything you wouldn't want to say around your children. So let's kind of. I have a curse jar handy to collect donations. So let's try to keep that jar pretty empty as possible. I also like to encourage you to subscribe to the Stunt Hangar channel and even join. We have 3 tiers of membership starting at $4.99, and share and subscribe and like. These all help the matrix, and we appreciate it very much. So I'm going to post a link at Stunthangar, and that's where you actually can come in and participate live, with your camera and microphone. Excuse me, and uh, and you can be part of the conversation. And if you can't, because you're not a member of Stunthangar, please join. You just need to register with your first, real, and last name. And if it takes too long, if you're having problems, just get back in touch with me, leave a note or something, and I'll contact Sparky and let him know. So, anyways, with that being said, you also can come in on the chat. I'm gonna, in fact, let me pop this chat out. So I do keep track of the conversation on the YouTube side with the what's going on. Sometimes I can't get right into the conversation with what you're saying there, but I will try to get it in. So, especially if you have a question, I'll put it before the rest of the guys or people, and we'll see what we can answer your question. So, anyways, without any further ado, let me go and post the link. Just give me a moment here. I'm looking away at my second monitor, and so let's see here and post. All right, so it's posted on the Stunt Hangar forum website, and hopefully we will have some people come join us, and we'll talk about what they've been doing. Now, I actually went flying today, or actually attempted to go flying today, but I put a new engine in an old plane, and things did not work out well for me. I had a very frustrating day in over 102 degrees out there, so it was no fun. But fortunately, we had a canopy, so I could get some shade and have get some cold water to keep me um, refreshed. But yeah, very frustrating day. It happens once in a while, but that's what makes those great days when things are going well so enjoyable, because sometimes we do have bad days and you can't figure out what the problem is. What the heck is going on? You know, looks like Gary's trying to get in. Hey, Gary.
Hi.
So I'm happy to have some company. Hey, how's it going? All right. So I guess I did everything right again. Um, Rusty had provided for me a cheat sheet, and somehow I've can't find it. So the last couple of times I've had to do it on memory, and looks like I think that's Trian's coming in, and we have another. Oh, excuse me. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Hi, Charles. It's going good.
Hey, how's it going? Good. And we have another fellow just here. I don't know whose name that is. Oh, they're gone. Maybe it was you, Tom. Maybe you had a ghost image. So what's everybody been up to? Anybody done anything fun? No?
It's been cold in Minnesota.
No, nothing. Yeah.
Oh. Well, it's been hot here in Escondido. I was out there in 102 degrees. So who is DM?
Wow.
I wonder who that is. I know. Hello, I saw him briefly.
Dean Martin or
I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Jeff?
Oh, it could be Dane Martin because Steve Hines and I have had. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Charles.
Is there a
friends, how
delay?
you guys doing?
I did.
Is there a delay when I talk?
I don't know.
I don't know. See,
Huh. Because when I ask a question, it seems like 3,000 or 4,000 I'm counting in my head before you guys respond. So, but I'll deal with it.
We'll do a test. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Is that
Four.
coming through?
5.
I heard you, but you still had one up the whole time. I expect you to go 1, 2, 3 as I expected.
Yeah.
That is what I did.
I didn't see.
I didn't see the 2 or the 3. I didn't see the 2 or the 3.
Me neither.
Try it again.
Well,
1, 2, 3.
You're on.
I could.
yeah, you're on. There's a little delay on the 3. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you pulling my leg at Tom?
Yeah.
No, I
I
think
can
we
only
do
count to
have a
9.5.
little delay.
So. I can only count to 9.5.
Yes. So I'm curious who this mystery guest is. All I have is
Can
your
you hear me?
initials,
It's
DM.
Dane.
I wonder if it's Dane Martin.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
guess.
me,
I'm gonna
Dane.
guess.
Dane
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah, Dean Martin.
Dean Martin.
Hey, Dane. All right. Thanks for coming in.
Next is gonna be.
I have it on. Yeah, I have it on audio right now because I only have my phone.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about
I thought they said.
you doing a show and tell on applying film. I don't know if you use or have a preference with monocode or ultracode or what your preference is, but I'm looking forward for that to happen. That's going to be great.
As far as preference, I actually use several different ones depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm building free flight or, you know, 8th A or quarter A, I'm using Ultra Coat Light Park Flyer.
What do you
Okay.
use to
But
simulate chrome or polished aluminum?
I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of stay away from that unless I'm painting, because the neon colors and the metallic, well, not all metallic colored, but the chrome and silver and those type of iron-ons, what happens is whenever you're trying to do compound curves, the adhesive comes off of those easier than it does the solids or transparents. So unless I really have to, or I'm going over something straight or something, yeah, because if you're trying to go around a curve, you just have the ability to lose the adhesive, which the adhesive is the color.
Okay.
So if I'm doing a
So
Mustang,
chrome
it's
is
getting
tough.
painted or something else.
How do
Chrome
you
is
paint
awesome
chrome?
when you're applying it over something straight or open bays.
Okay. And you just spray
Or
like,
as long as
So
the
Dane, have
curve
you ever
is
seen a
compound.
like a chrome combat plane?
Yeah, so
Let me
like
try it again.
those ones are not truly the combat planes that you see that look really chrome.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mylar film. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it. I just personally
Oh,
don't
okay.
like it, so I don't do it. Yeah. I mean, you apply it
I
the
just think it'd be
same.
pretty
You
neat to see
apply it
all
at a
that
I
lower
was
flashing
thinking
lights
temperature,
about
going around.
Charles.
and you do the curves a lot slower. Yeah, it works out.
Yeah,
It's
Charles. I was thinking about.
I
I
don't
was
have a lot of
thinking about
building
your
time, so
plane.
if I
Your
can't
touch
cover it in
also.
about 10 minutes,
So you put on film pretty quick then, huh?
yeah. Well, I'm building 6 or 8 ringmasters right now for the event, so yeah, I build them pretty quick.
Just for the Ringmaster-a-thon you're talking about?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna
I'm
see
just
if I can improve my internet. I don't know
I'm heating up
if
some.
it's me or what, but you guys go ahead and talk. I'm gonna
I don't know.
come
There
back.
seems to be a lot
I'm
of
gonna see if
lag
I
time
can
right
kick
now.
some of my kids off the internet. Yeah, so I'm gonna kick off some kids off the internet. I'll be right back. You guys
Okay.
carry on. Don't burn the house down while I'm gone. I'll be right back.
All right, Charles. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing good.
What's going on, Gary?
Getting cold in Minnesota.
Cold in Minnesota. Yeah, I'm out here west of the 605 freeway, and it's been toasty warm out here. It was 92 today.
Wow. We've been kind of in the 40s, low 50s, 40s, and 50s in Minnesota already. I just pulled the dock out of the lake this week, so that's ready for winter now. My lake freezes over in the winter, so I can't leave the dock in the water.
That's oh yeah. That would make sense. But that's good weather for the project I've got coming up for John Miller and Charles Carter.
The stand, painting stand, or what? What project are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm building. Yeah, I'm building 2 stands, and I got to weld and cut steel, so there's a lot of sparks, a lot of fire, and it's too hot to get dressed up in all that garbage.
Okay.
We gotta we gotta get this lag time
Yeah, it seems
fixed.
like we have quite a delay between talking.
This is, yeah, it's like almost 10 seconds right now. We should shut off and start over.
Think that'll help?
Let's see when Carter comes back. We'll see what's happening. He's starting to come back right now. There he is.
There he is.
Hey. Hey, guys. I
Are you
kicked
there
off
now?
one of my kids, but I have another teenager who's not even. Hey, I'm here. I understand we're still having a lag, huh?
Yes, there's a lag.
No worries.
So, anyways, did you guys? Yeah. I don't know what to do about this. Yeah, one of my kids is not here, so I have one less teenager, and I had one teenager turn off one of her devices. So I don't know if it's going to take some time to catch up and get better, or maybe we really just have an issue we're going to have to live with.
We could try starting it
We'll
over.
figure it out.
That's kind of a lot of trouble.
That's true. That's true too.
How you doing,
I think
Phil?
we just have to maybe just be very patient.
Well, Charles, how the heck are you?
It's easy to talk over someone with lag time.
I'm doing well, Phil. Thanks for asking me. I wish we wasn't having this delay.
Yeah. Well, you know, if everything was perfect and easy, it wouldn't be any fun doing it. That's just like stunt. We all wish we could pick up a maneuver and do it perfect, but if you could just go out there and grab the handle, you'd have moved on to something else already.
Right. Yeah, it's just unfortunate, but you know what? We'll have to deal with it and make the best of it. We'll have to try not to step on each other.
Yeah. Well, has anybody been flying?
I actually attempted to go flying
I think
today, Phil.
Sparky's in Cleveland this
Too
weekend.
cold in
I put a
Minnesota.
new starter.
A new dock?
I'll be back.
So
Okay.
Jeff's going to try something, I guess. Uh-oh. Looks like the Michigan Madman's coming in. But he's got his stuff muted.
this is a mic.
Hey, Phil,
What if
what's that
that's
little
Minnesota
fringe
mic?
you have out here every once in a while?
Excuse me, say it again.
So what's that little fringe that I hear once in a while there when off to the side? Tweeting.
Oh, I got two lovebirds. I got two lovebirds, and they're
Oh, okay.
my daughter got those many years ago, and she rescued them from a animal shelter or whatever, and brought them home and was going to take them to her place, but then she ended up going for a month training on a new job, and left them with us, and that was 12 years ago. So we've got Indy and Riley, and they're a mess. They're not supposed to have lived this long, but we spoil them, and they're some good birds. They'll fly through the house, one land on each shoulder, and you think a bird can't bark.
That's very cool.
Tweet that loud tweet, it goes to the head like, oh. Yeah, they're a mess. They're a mess. The dog just looks at him and says, "Oh, you again." Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, me.
So did that make any difference?
You said something about you going flying this week. Did you have any? I don't think so.
Are you talking to me, Joe?
Yeah, I was.
Hey, Ben. Hey, Mike. Mike Donkey.
John's in the house.
Yeah, so I this morning
Hi, Mike.
This morning I was going to meet some of my friends, and I'm trying to figure out the plane I was going to fly, and required some sort of work. So I thought, well, let me take out my old plane, which at the moment have an engine in it, and I thought I'd stick a new Stalker 81 in there. And so I put it in. I was about a half hour late. I couldn't get the mode, which it ran beautifully on it. And that's what happened, but it's very frustrating in 102-degree temperature trying to get a engine to keep on running. It would start, but then it would stop. And fortunately for a friend of mine, we had upside down, and the muffler filled up with fuel. And so when I finally got it running, my friend got showered with fuel.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, that muffler must have been halfway full.
Uh-huh.
Just literally just showered him with fuel.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, that's a mess.
Charles,
That's the rear mount
in
mufflers.
hot weather, you need
will load
to
up and
put a
soak
little
you
bit
down.
in hot weather, you need to put Charles, can you hear me?
go ahead, John.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can
I
you
hear
hear
you.
me, Charles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I hear you.
In hot weather, you're running a no nitro.
Yes, I hear you. Yes.
Okay. You're no nitro engine in hot weather. Might put 5% nitro in it.
All right.
Boy, we
I'll
got
try
a
that.
delay tonight.
Okay. Sounds like a good deal.
I'll try that.
Well,
That
tell me
was
this. Yeah,
Huge
and
delay.
Oh, we got in here.
Here,
guys,
there you're back.
how much time did you have to put on your stalkers? Oh. How much time did you put on your stalker?
I hear you. I hear you.
Before
Keep
the
going,
run
Phil.
before
What's
the
up,
run?
Phil? What?
Right. I put about a half a gallon through mine. I put half a gallon through mine, and it runs great on the test stand. It'll hold 9,800 and do everything it's supposed to do. But I'm a little concerned about put it in the airplane. I'm a little concerned about taking it out in the morning. I wonder what it's going to do then.
I broke mine in on the airplane.
Go ahead, John.
And on it worked.
Oh,
I found it worked
that might be
just
what I
fine.
need to
Breaking it
do.
in on when I got used less and less fuel. When I got to where I used less and less fuel, it was broken in.
Mm-hmm. It's been doing that. It may be ready. I don't know.
Well, this is my
I've been
first
running on
new
12.6
stalker.
on the test
My
bin,
other
and it's
stalker,
13.5 on the plane.
Use the
I
mic.
bought
Then I've got a 13.
mine.
I'm the
We
only
got
one
a
in the
long
area
delay,
running
guys.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
okay.
seems to
What
be a
size box you
real
running?
issue
Cheater is in the house.
with the lag in the video.
Stalker?
And the
Yeah, I'm the only one in the area running a stalker.
okay,
Are you
yeah,
using the
this is
Stalker
not
51
Got
working.
a
or
I'm gonna leave and
76,
come back.
and it is a brute.
Anything.
That thing. I don't think it's going to help.
Okay, well, we had two of you talking there. Mike, I understand your frustration. It is a little frustrating.
It's just
What size engine?
Oh, wait, hang on. You didn't need a break. Oh, okay, break.
76.
Oh, how did I fall? I went to fall in there somehow. Oh, it's on the thing.
76. Okay. Okay, 76. Yeah, you can just break it in on the airplane, and you've got it. If you run a half a gallon through, you pretty well got things set. Put it on the plane. Take a flight. You short tank it. See how it's doing, and if you like what you got, then you can start running full tank. And you'll notice as it gets broken in, it'll use less and less fuel for the pattern. And when it gets done and gets settled in on the amount of fuel it uses, it's broken. It's ready to go.
Sounds good to me. We'll take it out in the morning and try it. Do you think
I was the only one.
Should be
I
Yeah, I
just
was the
wanted
only
to-
one running
a Turnigy? Turnigy 13.6 3-blade.
turn. I would think so.
Okay, I'm gonna try it in the morning
76
and
is a
see.
big engine. The only one bigger is the 81. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the 81. I'm gonna blame Charles for that one. Got me thinking about a big banger.
Well, I got
Hey, I
two
just
of them.
want to
so,
interject here.
I don't like marine. What was that, Mike?
I was going to say, if everyone went to their settings and we went to low bandwidth, maybe that'll help this lag a little bit. Does everybody know how to do that?
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Bottom
Be right.
right-hand corner, 3 dots. Bottom right-hand corner, 3 dots. Click on that. Go to Manage Video Quality. Click on that. And then just everyone move to low bandwidth and see if that helps the lag.
All right, I did that.
Or even the next one above that would be better. You got 4 choices. You got low bandwidth, low def, standard def, high def. Maybe if just everyone goes to low def or low bandwidth. Let's see if that helps the lag.
Yeah,
Well, how's the
You
left
seem
now?
low
seems to be about
bandwidth.
right.
That's the camera.
Well, I could see Mike's mouth moving the same time he was talking, so I think that might have.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So just everyone go to low def and see if that helps with our issue.
It looks like it has, Mike.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I think everyone was in high because when you log in, it automatically puts you on high definition camera and resolution. And I think if everyone's running high def, that's maybe creating the problem. So if we can just modify that down to the lower, that might help. Okay, continue. I got to get busy with Sam here. He's chomping at the bit to put an airplane together. So I'm gonna turn my mic off, but I'll be listening. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks for the
All right.
suggestion, Mike. Yeah,
It
when I
is a
came in, I
Friday
always go
night.
to a lower for myself. I always come in with a lower, but everybody else might have came in at a higher
I had
Yeah,
no
bandwidth.
idea, so I was coming in at high. So no
me
Yeah,
problem.
too.
I know now. We'll know next time.
yeah, it wasn't an
Phil,
issue
What's the
before,
weather
so it's
supposed?
kind of strange.
What's the weather supposed to be out y'all's way tomorrow? I thought we
my
were going to
way.
get a whole bunch of rain. I thought we were going to get a whole bunch of rain, but this evening was beautiful. So who knows?
We got a 10 to 20% chance of rain tomorrow. That means we won't get any
Yeah, you're
because
in
I'm in the
Utah. Yeah,
desert.
you're in Utah in the desert. You ain't gonna get no rain, man. 2 days a
Only
year,
rain I
maybe.
get is under my armpits, and I flap my arms.
And that'll dry up if you'll flap your arms a couple times.
Yeah, that's right.
Shoot. I remember the first time I went to see my brother in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He kept telling me, carry a bottle of water, drink a bottle of water. I couldn't figure out what in the world is he talking about. That night I was so just drug out, I couldn't figure out. I thought I was in good shape. What the heck's going on? He handed me about 4 bottles of water and he said, go sit down, drink these, and shut up. My brother is 6'8", 240. If he says sit down, shut up, and drink these, I go sit down, shut up, and drink them. And after the bottles of water, a few minutes later, I start feeling better.
Yeah,
Hey,
Good.
has Dane undone his mic and his camera yet or not?
Earlier, he had just audio, so he was talking to us.
I got
okay.
the microphone turned off because I'm also doing some sanding. But the camera is bad on mine because I'm on my phone.
Okay.
I did see a
So
little
I'll
bit ago
turn
there.
it on. I'll turn it on here in a minute whenever I'm going to show this airplane, but I just didn't want to leave it on because it just would be pointing straight up.
Okay. All right, we can wait.
The big thing going in Delta, Utah tonight is we've got the hot rod and show car show at the park. They pulled in earlier this afternoon, and it sounded like a drag race going on around the place. Now they hit it and peel out, but see, we got a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit through the town, so they just get it roaring and shut it down, you know. But I plan on going over to the show tomorrow. I was going to take my little Toyota camper. I got a '79 Toyota Sunraider, one of those old campers at Toyota.
That's neat.
It's actually a historic vehicle now.
Yeah.
But I got somebody now wanting to come and buy it. I'm kind of thinking about selling it because I don't think I'll be using it so much anymore. I'm more interested in getting, those little small fiberglass campers, trailers.
Sanitas, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's 2 or 3 of them, but the Sanitas is the LTD of the version of the breed.
Yeah, well, that's all I need,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at.
Around here we
looking
got
at.
one called the Champ.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's a 2-piece, and it looks like it's riveted around the center.
It is. There's just one mold.
Huh?
The top and bottom are the same on some of them. It's just the same thing turned upside down, then they put a floor in it.
Yeah.
They're neat. Think about it. They don't leak.
And they don't weigh much.
No, they don't. They're easy to pull with a Toyota.
Yeah, I've got to pull mine. If I get one, I got to pull it with a Honda. What is it? The 4-wheel drive RTV or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Honda. I can't remember anymore.
Pilot?
I used to know all the cars.
CRV?
There's a Pilot.
No, Pilot
CRV or the Pilot?
RV4.
The Pilot's bigger than
Toyota.
what I got.
Oh, CRV?
That's
CRV.
it.
There you go. There you go. See,
It's got a good engine. It's got that V4 Vortex engine in it.
Yeah, that's a good little truck.
Yeah.
Well, John, when I was having all that problems with that car I had, you should have told me how to fix it.
You fix it, you jack it up, you jack the radiator cap up, and pull a new one in underneath it.
Did you
What I
get that
didn't
car fixed,
realize,
son?
the whole problem was that with the fuel regulator, and that fuel regulator was made before they started putting alcohol in our fuel.
Yeah.
And the new one now will take alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was the problem. It was all gummy, and I couldn't believe it. Like it slimed the aluminum, and then kind of it was pitted and everything else. It looked really nasty. But that was the whole problem with it, that it wouldn't open and close fast enough. And that's why it was always out of whack where the engine needed fuel. But yeah.
You still got the
Back
car?
in the 50s, there was some engines they put valves in it that had lead that would in the valves, the valve stem that would turn liquid or anyway.
Sodium.
They said it.
Wasn't it?
Huh?
Weren't they sodium filled or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Valves.
Manly made
forget
sodium
the
fill
reason
valves.
they
Yeah,
did
they were
that.
lighter for racing. Yeah,
Is that what it was?
they were lighter for racing. They didn't expand as much because they were hollow. So the seal was better.
All right.
We used those in super stocks and pro stocks, and the top fuel guys used them a lot. But they went through them pretty quick. One run and they were done.
I bet. Yeah. I watched when they had the first 300-mile-an-hour drag races in Cucamonga, California. I watched, I forget which group it was, pretty famous group. They had a rail out there, and they took off, and about less than a tenth of a mile, just flaming stuff started shooting out the exhaust. They shut it down, and he coasted through the traps at over 150 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those things are something else.
I remember one time I was with my brother, and he just got his motor done on his 442, and we were by the McDonald's by our house where everybody met up on Saturday, and this guy wanted to race him. So he's like, all right, because the guy had beat him before. And so they raced, and my brother jumps him. First, second, hits third, and the whole thing just goes, whoa. And he's like, oh my God, I blew the engine and stuff, you know? So he kind of pulls into this parking lot, and the car's running. I said, it's still running. He goes, that's really weird. He goes, it won't do anything. And we got out and looked, and just the throttle cable came off the carburetor. But I thought he was gonna break down in tears because he just had his engine back together and all that kind of stuff for that night, the Friday night before, and that was Saturday morning. He already thought he smoked it. So, but yeah, that was so funny. I just laughed my ass off after that. I said, I was ready to see tears come out of your eyes. He goes, I was ready to start crying.
One of the cars I had in high school was the old 1948 Chevrolet convertible. Had the Babbitt bearings on the engine, and it had the vacuum shift on the it had you go through neutral and shift that little lever over, and so I was going to pick my girlfriend up, and I thought I'd impress her, so I picked her up and went to pull out around the school bus there, and I hit it hard as I could to hit the shift. The vacuum lever didn't switch over fast enough. I put it right in reverse. And bam! And there I'm right in front of half the kids in school. I just splattered my transmission all over the ground. So we parked it there. We got on the bus to school. Well, got playing around with it. Got it that afternoon. Went down to the wrecking yard and pulled a tranny off another one. And I got looking at that, and I thought, I can do something. what I did is I made a bracket, and I got a long bolt, not that long, about an inch in diameter, and I set that up and use that as a shifter, straight forward, front and back. And I had a belt carrier on there with a spring on it. So I lift this, I made a trigger, I'd lift this trigger up, I push it straight forward. I was in first gear. And when I went to shift it to second, I just grabbed that bolt head and pulled it straight back. I was in second. Straight forward again, I was in third. You know, if you want to go in reverse, put it neutral, pull that lever up and pull it straight back. And then I was straight back, and I was in reverse. Well, that thing worked great. You know, the spring was stronger than the vacuum line, and I really regret letting that thing go when I did. The front car.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
You guys remember the Hearst ramrod shifter?
Yes, sir.
Where you just had to pull it?
Yeah.
It had a bunch of damn linkage there, and my buddy put that in a Chevelle. And we had a hell of a time getting it adjusted and stuff. But once you got it adjusted, you didn't have to use the clutch. I couldn't believe how that thing could shift gears without a clutch.
Ronnie Sox did that long
I don't know
before
how
anybody ever thought of it.
Oh, really?
That's why he won. We called him Mr. 4-Speed. That's why he was so fast. He let the clutch out of the line. He never touched the clutch again. He'd take every other synchronizer gear and cut it off halfway and polish it. And then you could just yank it. You just let off the gas and yank it. You let off the gas and shove it. Let off the gas and yank it. Never touched the clutch till he went to the traps and had to get on the brakes. He let me in on that secret not long before he died. He was quite a gentleman. Whew. Anyway.
Yeah, I know that.
There was a lot.
Well, I didn't know that you had to do stuff with. But I remember that. Yeah, you just let off the throttle. There was no clutch anymore. But he did a lot of grinding and a whole bunch of other crap though before he got it all adjusted right.
Yeah, it took a lot of work to get those adjusted. Lincoln.
One who really had it down for shifted on a drag car, Gordon Delaney. He had a 56 Chevy Bel Air, and he put a 350 in there that he built up from. It was like a 396 or close to 400 cubic inch when he got done. But he had all the trick stuff in there, crank, you know, it was a 4-main. Anyway, that sucker, it would lift the front wheel and it just, you know, easy. And he also had the rear end tub, so he had real wide tires on the back. And he had the front end, he replaced the framework, he tubed the front end. And that sucker would go. But he would take off on that, and he'd hit that shift. He'd hit that clutch and back off it so fast when they made the shift. I mean, he drove a lot of drag cars. He had a couple of them in his time, and he was good at it. Darn guy's good at everything he does.
Some people like that.
Chevy had what they had like a 2-speed, something glide or something like that.
Power glide.
Yeah, power glide.
Chevy 2-speed power glide.
Power glide, yeah. We had a guy I worked with that really had a stall converter in it, stuff like that. And God, that thing would go because it stalled like, I don't know, 3,000 RPM. So it's like, oh, and then he'd keep it there. And then when he just hit it, it just took a couple more RPM and that thing took off. And then he'd shift it into second. But it was hell on the expressway.
Well, that one was hell on the straightaway. One was the hell on the straightaway. Was the old 1953 to 55 Buick with the Dynaflush or Dynaflow. You know, it'd get out there, you get it up on an open road, and you put the throttle down, and it just keeps speeding up, speeding up, speeding up. but they weren't very good drag racing. There was no physical.
Problem with those cars, they were so bloody heavy and they didn't have brakes. I mean, Flintstone brakes would have been an improvement.
Oh yeah,
that was terrible.
Oh yeah, but did we care? You know,
I'm telling you,
my first car
I lived
ever
through that era, and that was a lot of fun.
My first car was a 1951 Studebaker V8 Commander, and you know it was the bullet nose one. All right, it had a 232 cubic inch V8 on it. Looked like a little Cadillac engine. Same kind of valve covers and all of that on it. The only other car that year that had a V8 in it that was worth anything was the Oldsmobile, and they had a little bit bigger one. And even though it was heavier, I couldn't beat one. But I remember when I took that thing to school, everybody, you know, they think of the old Studebaker Champion with a flathead 6 in it. You know, and these guys in their 53, 54 Chevys, you know, they wanted to race because they couldn't beat the guys with the Fords, the 55s, and newer Fords with the Chevys. They couldn't beat them. So they decided to pick on the guy with the Studebaker. And we had a less than a mile from the school. We had a straight stretch all marked off in the quarter mile. And it was out there, no houses around, and anything like that. So we were able to, you know, hold drag races out there. And I remember we went out there, and this guy with his 54 Chevy wanted to race me. And you know, I had to overdrive in it. And so what I did, just to fake him out, I took him off the line. I took him, pulled away from him in second gear, hit third, still pulling away from him, and then I reached down and pulled and let off the gas and pulled the overdrive on, and it looked like I had a 4-speed in there. Nobody else drag raced me after that.
Oh, I tell you what, I bet you wish you had that car now.
Oh my goodness, yes.
There's a guy here that has one of those.
What I really wish I had.
There's a guy here that has one of those. Go ahead.
I'd say the one I really wish I had, Phil, I had a 54 Studebaker President. That was the Lowy design with the low, you know, the low European look and that. And it had been repowered. It had a Golden Hawk engine. It had the super turbos on it, or whatever it is. Not turbo, superchargers on it. That the Golden Hawk had.
Metallic supercharger.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a fun car.
Yeah, my mother had a 56 Packard Clipper, 4-door, but it had a 455 with a Paxton supercharger. Yeah. You talk about something with haul. Good gracious. Gracious.
Yeah. You know, Paxton or Packard bought Studebaker when, you know, and they took that Raymond Loewy body design, and they made a big, massive, heavy chrome front bumper setup on the front, but they put a 455 in that sucker, and that thing passed anything but a gas station.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My daddy owned a gas station. My daddy owned a gas station. And he kept saying, Mama, you got to quit coming to visit me so often.
Yeah. My cousin and my uncle got a Talladega.
Oh, yeah.
So when I grew up, in my family, the only 2 Talladegas in Michigan, my uncle had one and my cousin had the other. And one had a 4-speed, one had an automatic, but each state got 2. And they were on the Ford racing team for years or whatever, so they both got one. And everybody was like, holy shit, you know? you don't see them, but they only made 100, you know, for NASCAR, and that was it for that first year. But that was pretty cool. Get my cousin to take me around in his car, and everybody got to see it and talk about it and everything else.
Well, the rumor
he
about
wishes
that
he had that back.
The
Pardon me?
rumor about that 51 Studebaker woman, they came out with a V8, and they were thinking they wanted to run it in some of the, like the Daytona or something like that, and they had the V8. It was a good V8, it's a strong little thing, and the car would corner really well. I mean, you know, it was, but the front A-frame support, the front. Or you got your turning and your wheels on it, A-frame. Yeah, suspension. There's a weakness there. And you get in, you know, I put mine in a full drift going around a corner, and you'd hit something, and all of a sudden you got a problem with the steering. You have to go in and get it reset or whatever. And I finally hit it hard enough one time, and it just about ruined it. So, but the nice thing about both of those Studebakers, they had a big enough trunk that I could put my airplane in it. I put my airplane in it, go to the field, bring my girlfriend, my buddy, and his girlfriend, and we go out there and they picnic out in the field, and we fly all day Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Remember those days?
I had a 71 Duster that had a trunk like that. Yeah. I had a 71 Duster that had a great big trunk. That thing could pass anything but a gas station too, but you could run over a cigar in the road and knock the front end out of line. I swan him. Mopar had a great motor and had a good body, but they had the worst front end on the market. It was a good thing my uncle worked for a tire shop with the front end man, because I got to see him regularly. About every 3 weeks I was in the Goodyear store. I'd be there at 6 o'clock. I'd be there at 6:30 because they opened at 7. They'd get mine in before anybody else. So I'd get it done and get out of there. $23 for front end alignment.
Yeah.
That was a lot of money in 71.
Did you go through tires?
Yeah.
Did you go through tires real fast?
No, I did.
Yeah.
Rears.
I went through all four
it was
tires.
Bad. No, it was bad enough that I had a set of rims for the street, and I had a set of rims for the drag strip, because I knew it wouldn't turn. It was not a sports car, and you just drove it on the street and took it easy. Finally, I got smart and bought a second Duster, and I put a 426 in the second one, and I left the 340 cars alone and just drove it on the street, and we just drag raced the other car, because it absolutely, with that Hemi, it absolutely would not turn. It was like an arrow in flight, but man, you couldn't.
It's like Mike has a good
couldn't turn it, and it
sign.
still didn't have brakes for crap.
Yeah.
What was that?
Looks like Mike has a good use for political signs. Build an airplane out of a political sign.
Yeah, it's good. That's good use. Something like that.
told you. You remember last week I was putting together the Golden Bee for Sam. We never got around to building the airplane, but we're doing an Osborne platter tonight. So, and yes, it is I had a friend, Pete Westerholm, who ran for Metro Nashville City Council. He was the City Council, and we don't have to talk about what side or whatever. But anyway, had a friend who ran for a couple years, and he had about 200 of these signs when he was finished with his term on City Council. And I told him that we build airplanes out of these, and we've done some with other kids. And this is actually the ones I took to Brodax last year, and they allowed chloroplast as a building material for Junkyard Wars. I brought 50 sheets of this to Brodax last year, and we allowed this plus the orange crates that they always allow, and it allowed for some pretty innovative designs, and probably some of the best flying airplanes Brodax has ever seen. I'll say that. But yeah, so recycling old political signs for 049 platters for Sam. There you go.
Training.
And training, yes.
For some kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah, some kids. Hopefully, some kids in the neighborhood will get on this platter too tomorrow. We're hoping. We'll see.
Very good.
Yeah, for a few years in the back of my pickup truck, I carried 4 by, had to make them 6.5 to fit in my pickup in the bed. And I took them every place with me because it was a portable runway. No matter where you went, if the grass was a little tall or whatever, we could set them up. And Samantha flew off of that portable runway. They're still over a buddy's house, but the sun is really kind of tore the edges up and stuff. But you can cut them down just an inch, and they'd still be good. But yeah, they work great for a portable runway to take off on long grass or weeds. But
Mike, next
we
year,
never had
before we go to Atlanta. Before we go to Atlanta next year, I'm gonna go see some of my buddies I used to work with, and say, "Good gracious," and see if they'll let me have some about 6 or 8 4x8 sheets of sign blank material, old sign blanks off the highway. Because that grass down there was just, oh man, that was hard to get out of. I hadn't seen grass that thick. It wasn't cut that long. It was just that thick. You just couldn't get off of it. What is that?
What is that, Tom? You showing?
We didn't have a designated field, so any park we went to or whatever, we would just carry it along with us, set it up, and we could fly.
This is at Oshkosh, and these are airplanes made out of Corplast that we used for. We had up to some years we had 2,000 kids fly in a week at Oshkosh.
Now that's
and
cool.
These were designed by the group, the Control Line group in St. Louis.
Okay.
Wow, it's pretty impressive.
I tell you what, if you ever look on Facebook and see Igor Berger's airplanes that they fly indoor in the wintertime, I want one of those. I think that's the coolest thing. Maybe I'm getting a little warped, but I think that's the coolest thing. They're just little bitty things, electrics.
These are Control Line, Phil?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
they fly Control Line stuff inside.
I was going to do one, Phil, but for the engine, ESC, and all that setup, it's like $500.
Holy moly! Maybe I won't do it. Woo.
Yeah, they're a little pricey.
That's what Igor's big ESC costs.
500 there, 500 there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money.
Yeah.
500 is real money to me, brother. I'm retired.
Let half that.
You gotta have that Axie motor that's special made for it. The ESC is special made for it, and then the Igor timer. So you gotta, and it's just about as expensive as his full plane setup.
Yeah,
but maybe somebody's coming out with, you might be able to use that guy out of Brazil, his.
Yeah, I've got one of his. That'd be a little heavy for that. That timer would be a little heavy for the for that little bitty airplane. I think. I don't know. It comes in a box about that big. I don't know how big it really is. I haven't taken it out.
What about that?
You've got one. It's not all that.
You know how to.
But you can use any motor you want, and you can use any ESC you want, and you can probably make it work.
Well, that's cool.
I don't know if we're quite as good as Igor's, but I think it'd still be fun.
Well, I'd like to try it. I'd like to have one of those little planes. I think they're just cool. My luck, the little dive brakes would fall off of it and be. But anyway, I think that's just neat. I saw it on that's cool. I saw it on I guess it was Facebook. I've never been on Facebook, but I was at somebody else's house and he was looking at it. And It looked neat to me. I said, that'd be cool in the wintertime, but that's when I build for the summertime, you know. Oh, well, anyway.
So, Dave, is that one of the airplanes you finished while you were here online?
Well, I think I got the camera figured out here, but now I can't see the screen. Hang on a second.
But we see you, though. We see the ringmaster.
Get your wife and tell her she's got to film it.
He's going to shoot over his shoulder.
Can you guys see this little?
Yeah.
My controls are backwards and it's drifting. It's weird. So
I think
this is that Baby Nobler from Vintage Performance, and this is the one that they put on their website. So I had talked to Steve on the phone, and he was talking about doing iron-on stuff, and so let me see if I can get a different one here. I think his question was more of like these seams.
If you rotate your phone 90 degrees, you'll get more of a picture out of it.
Like that?
No, not. There you go. Take your phone and rotate it.
It doesn't. It's weird. Everything's backwards right now. So Steve was asking about how to make seams like this to be straight, and so that was one of those things we were talking about on the phone. Maybe because I'll use the computer, and I could set it up how you guys have it in a stationary position, and then maybe we could do that. What I was telling him, and one of the tricks I do to make this looks wrinkly, but it's not. It's weird. It's this light, I think. One of the tricks I do to make those lines straight is, let's say I'm coming up to butt this joint, I actually masking tape this like I was doing a paint job. I mean, obviously you wouldn't do it here because it's straight. I'm just saying, if you were going around a curve or something, I would masking tape that and iron it all the way to the tape, and then peel it up off the tape, and then you have that straight line. And then you don't use an X-Acto or anything. You use these the razors that you shave with, because they're a lot thinner.
The injector blade?
Yeah, those double-edged safety razors, you know. And then you could lay it on the masking tape, and then you just roll it down the tape. And that's how
slick.
That's how you get like on the top of the fuselage here. There's no seam anywhere, but it is. I'm lazy. It's just right on the corner. But you can't see it because that's where I got the tape line. So I'm thinking maybe we could do. I'm building a bunch of ringmasters for the fly-a-thon. Maybe we could just do one of those or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be great.
This poor thing's been crashed a bunch of times, and they broke my nose off here. So I got tape holding it together. But and then somebody else, I don't remember who it was, asked about these hinges.
That's why we stood on sailplanes.
Yeah, it's just monocoque hinges like we used to do on the big gliders and stuff.
Pretty neat.
And I got my phone plugged into the charger, and it's dying. I'm watching the percentage go down as I talk here. But yeah, I don't know if you guys or anybody has any interest. Maybe in a couple of weeks, we could do like a iron-on clinic or something. You know.
Well, I'd be very interested in that. I'm hoping to put film on my wings and stab and elevate and then paint the rest of the plane. So I have
because
but I always feel like
even like the profile on the fuselage, and then these are only, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or whatever. This is all iron-on all the way around. So doing solid surfaces and all that, I don't know. We could lead into stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, because here's what you don't want to do with iron-on hinges. I made some kind of a spring.
Yeah. So I'll show you how to avoid that also, because that is a very real potential, and there's 2 things that cause that are very easy to cause that.
Yeah, so now I got to peel all them back off and redo it. But yeah,
What else you got to do, Steve?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. I put a video up a couple years, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, about monocoque hinges, and man, it got thousands and thousands and thousands of views and all this stuff. And it's like, wow, I kind of thought there was a whole lot of those videos out there, but I guess not.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see it before I tried to do it.
Oh,
I had it explained to me. Said, oh yeah, just iron them on like that. You can just put them on there. And I went through and I just had it on the table and I did one side, flipped it over, and I did the other side, and it picked it up. And it was like doing, doing. I'm like, yep, I did that right. But it's straight. By God, that thing is so straight. You look down and it's like, wow.
I'm afraid a whole lot of that stuff that we used to do in the 70s, on sailplanes especially, that technology never got out. Everybody thought that was closely guarded secrets, and it just never got out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just kind of one of those working models that's never. It's not antiquated technology still, because that's 90% of the planes I build. You know, that's what I do still.
Oh, it still works. I still do it when I do sailplanes, and I still fly woodcrafters.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot of guys never talked about it, and guys didn't pick it up. So everybody thought, oh, you got to use these barrel hinges, even on a sailplane. Well, guys go to build something with like a Drifter 2 with a 1/16 inch tail, and they go trying to put a regular hinge in it. That just don't work.
Yeah, it's as thick as the tail surface.
Yeah, but there's guys that did that because they didn't know any better. So,
well, like these little half-A jobs, the surfaces are so thin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just want something not only free moving, but you don't really want to try to cut into that sheet.
Yeah. I went to VSC one year with a plane that's supposed to have an 1/8 inch tail. Mine had a 3/16. And the judge wanted to disallow it. And Keith Trossel and Ted Fancer and somebody else walked over and said, no, building that airplane with a 1/8 inch tail is asking for trouble. It's just not heavy enough. I don't care what the wood is. It's just not heavy enough. It won't hold up. They'll flutter. I said, well, that's what happened. I flew it the first time and it fluttered. And I ended up landed it in the grass with it going too fast, and it just tore the tail all to pieces. So I put it back with 3/16. Because 1/8 obviously was not big enough. And Ted says that's legitimate. That plane was not big enough with that tail. But if it hadn't been for the guy speaking up for me, I would have traveled all that way for nothing.
Oh no!
That's so counter to what Mike says the VSC is about. It's about fun. It is not supposed, not supposed to be like that. What design was that, Bill?
I can't remember if that was hotter than that or if that was. I can't remember. I only went about 6 times, but I found your plane the other night. By the way, were you 1601 or something like that?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, it was your Pathfinder. I took the picture of. It was your Pathfinder, and that was a pretty thing. The LE, but I Swanee, it didn't look as big as LE plans do. Man, that's a big airplane. I rolled that thing out across the bed this morning. It's as big as my bed. I'm sitting there. This is a big bed. This sucker's as big as my bed. Gracious.
Well, I'm glad you liked the plans.
Oh, I do. I keep looking at them. It's probably going to get built. There's Peter with his. He's trying to make me jealous again.
Yeah.
Hey, Peter, you're
All
going to need to unmute your mic, Peter.
Hey, Mike. I saw Sam's picture in the AMA magazine.
Yeah.
Control line.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
he's in there.
Yeah. Made
Look
my
at-
day when I saw it.
Look at your new magazine.
For-
He's in there.
Was it all the juniors at the Nats or?
Control lines. Yeah. And that's yeah.
Okay, was it for combat or stunt?
Stunt, I think. Yeah.
I think it was
Okay, yeah, I remember Joe Daly asking permission to take a picture of all the juniors, and if we
Yeah.
had permission to publish it in the magazine. Of course, I was like, yeah. Oh, cool. I haven't gotten my new AMA yet, so we'll look forward to seeing that. Awesome.
Yeah. At least you got told this time before you just threw it in the trash.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
No, it goes into the bathroom with me right after I get it from the mailbox, and then it's in the trash 20 minutes later. I do go through it. I page through it, but I don't ever just throw them away. They always get looked at. But
If nothing else, they're good for mixing epoxy.
That's what I use them for.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the magazine right now, trying to find a picture of Sam.
you're in the AMA magazine, Sam.
It's in the, I don't know, 50 page
looks like-
50s or.
Okay.
It looks like Pete might
And
have
it-
got some of his repair work done on that Pathfinder.
It's not his first rodeo either. Sam's been in the magazine 3 or 4 times already,
Yeah.
actually.
That's good.
Yeah.
not as much-
He start being paid for his modeling work.
There you go.
Wait,
It's not as big as I thought it was, is it, Peter?
You're live.
Hey, I gotta go, guys. My phone is just dying way too fast. I won't be able to
Alrighty.
make it.
Hey, well, thanks for
Come
coming
see,
in.
us come see us Monday night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll give
Dave,
you guys a
good to have
call.
you on here, buddy.
Same
Yeah.
bat time, same bat channel.
Sometimes I come out of hiding. All
Trying to find the picture.
right, thanks, guys.
Yep. Take it
Hey,
easy,
thank
Dave.
you.
Whenever we get it. Whenever we get it, I don't know. You're going to bed? They're telling us Sam was in the AMA magazine again this month.
I don't see it.
You're,
I have the difference here. This is talking about this one.
Oh, that's
It's it's the next one.
it's the next one.
I get
Okay.
the online. I get the online version, so I saw it on the computer.
Okay. Yeah, this
No,
is
I
September.
haven't got mine
Oh,
in there
that's
yet.
why you got it. All right.
That one's
Yeah.
still in my bathroom.
This is September. So.
That one's still in the bathroom. That tells you how.
It's
But
got-
he's,
it's
got a
either
plane.
that or you don't go to the bathroom often.
oh,
This has got the plane on it that takes off
I'm
the
over.
water.
I'm over 65.
Oh.
I go too
Well,
often.
I hear you.
Gary, you could pull up your AMA digital version, click on the picture, and then share your screen
Yeah,
if
but
you
it's
have the technology to
It's
do this.
it's on a different computer.
Oh, it's on a
Where,
different.
where my
Okay.
email is. Yeah. So
Well, I'm looking forward, Phil, to you're starting that.
It
that
won't be long.
Pathfinder.
It won't be long. It has graduated from rolled up in the basement to occasionally laid out on the kitchen table or dining room table, which is where I'm sitting now, to upstairs in the bedroom where I roll it out on the bed and look at the whole darn thing. So it ain't long to where it goes downstairs onto the table, and then
You take your
I start building a kit. I start building a kit then.
That's
you got
very good.
But
it down how to use that pattern sheet, right?
I have already started figuring out how many sheets of wood I need and start cutting out patterns. So we're it's not
No.
it's not too long before it will be a reality.
Cool.
And that darn Peter just keeps trying to make me jealous.
Well,
Peter,
He's gonna put that right up into that propeller on the ceiling
Yeah.
here. In a
that's
second.
what I was thinking. That's what I was going to say. He's going to put it in the fan in a minute.
that poor plane that got beat up when it's moving around. You see that there on the leading edge?
Run a line.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
then
But it
That's
looks
just
like you
sharp.
may have started with some repair work on it.
those are nice wheel spats.
He does a good job with those. He
And that's
covers
the
the wire.
film too, Phil. That's film he did.
watch what I do.
Yeah, he
Boy,
covers
that's nice.
the wire with shrink tubing. and then shrinks it onto there, and it seems to work pretty darn good.
I mean, that's right. I've always wrapped wire around it and soldered it to both ends and epoxied it and then put wood on both sides of it. But that looks, Pete's idea looks good. I'm gonna try that.
Okay, weight. Yeah. Okay, the weight as it sits right now in this stage of completion is 27 ounces.
Okay.
It's not bad. Not bad at all. Watch that fan up there.
Go to the hinge.
That is cowls on it. There's a tank in it. No, two tires, not the third wheel, but as it sits right now, it's 27.
So then
You need to finish that thing, Peter. You need to fix, repair it, and finish it. That's a cool airplane.
Put up again.
Oh yeah, 27 also has all the horn, the bell crank, and all the controls in it right as well.
The only thing that's missing is the tank and the engine. And
The tank's in there. The tank's in there. Yeah, the tank's in there. The engine is not.
What were you going to put in it, Pete?
Basically, it needs to have the elevators installed. Obviously, the pipe tunnel finished out with the bottom cover. And the stab, the rudder and the stab needs to go on and then cover. So right now it's the 27.
What engine were you planning on putting there?
It's really an overkill. I'm still not sure.
Oh no!
Originally I was going to have the OS Max VF46 in there. But I think it's overkill for that airplane.
Well, it'll handle that engine, and having extra power is always nice.
Yeah, it never hurts. I've never overpowered one, but I've underpowered a few.
There's that fella in Australia that won their nationals with a Nobler with a Stalker 66, or no, yeah, Stalker. Is either Stalker 66 or the Super Tiger 60.
No, it's a Stalker. I think it was a Stalker 61, wasn't it?
Could be, yeah.
In a Nobler?
Yeah.
Really?
It was a very gloss Stalker.
Look from behind and tell me when it's.
Well, stalkers are very light, but wow. I had a
right up and down.
a Nobler ARF kit with a 40 LA in it, and that thing was 48 ounces. And then I've got my electric. It's heavier than that with the batteries and all in it. It's heavier than that. But it's odd. Even at that weight and that little skinny wing, the thing flies great.
Yep.
But I don't know. Something about that airplane. I don't know what it is. Nobler's hard to beat.
I do have a brand new LA 46.
46.
There.
I wouldn't be afraid of putting that 46 in a pipe in there at all.
Well, that 46 is a great motor.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna probably gonna put a 46 or a 51 in mine if I ever get it built.
I put a Stalker 51 in mine.
Yeah, I've got a PA 51 I got from Bear, and
that's a good
I bought
motor.
the motor. I got the motor, and he sent me manifold and 2 pipes, and said, "Have fun."
That'll be a good setup.
I think I'm going to put that in something. I was going to build a Gieske Nobler, the Bear Nobler, the Bear.
Yeah, Bear.
But he said the Bear is too big for a 51. It needs a 61. So I'm going to build one. I've got the plans downstairs, and I got all the stuff from him to build. I got got everything to build the Bear, the big Bear, 20-inch tailed Bear with a 76, and I have the 76. But I just can't get it drawn where it looks right. It looks funny, and until I figure out what I'm doing wrong and fix it, that plane will stay on the drawing board, because I don't want to do Bear's plane and it not look like something that the Bear would be proud of.
Yeah.
He was too classy an act.
Yeah.
That old man was something else. Somebody asked him one time while I was at a contest, I don't remember where we were. It was not at Nationals. I think it was the FAI trials in Atlanta. Said, why do you light up right before you go out to fly? He said, that's my wind director. And the guy looked at him and he says, what?
Yeah, it
He
makes
says,
sense. Yeah.
the wind changes directions all the time. All I got to do is take a puff and I know which way the wind's blowing. And the guy looked like he still didn't understand it. And Bear looked at him and he's just kind of stunned. The guy walked off. I turned around and said, he don't fly stunt. Trust me, he
No,
don't
he
fly
does not
stunt.
fly stunt. No.
So anyway, it was a lot of fun. But I met him in '76, first time in Atlanta. He and Al Rabe and Keith Trossel and Bobby Hunt and Bill Wurbridge, Les McDonald. There's not a bad one in the bunch. And that's a great bunch of people. But it's just that stunt's the only thing I've ever done that's like a big family. You get to a contest and need something, somebody's going to their box trying to find it for you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And car racing, any kind of car racing. I've drag raced, sports car raced, autocrossed, a little bit of everything, and they don't do that. Motorcycle racing, even bicycle racing, they don't do that.
They didn't used to do that in stunt back in the 50s. Those guys.
George, they do it. They do it now.
Yeah, they kept everything secret. They had their little things, you know. For instance,
oh yeah, the
very
Detroiter
few people
wing.
knew. Everybody said they flew a top flight 10.6. Well, some did, but most flew a 10.5.
Yeah.
Most of them were 10.5s. That's the reason you couldn't buy a 10.5 in the 60s. The hobby
right.
shop could always get 10.6s, but they couldn't get 10.5s. That's when we learned to use Mama's steam kettle and tweak that sucker down a little bit and make it a 10.5. We've been repitching props forever. And everybody says, well, how do you do that? That thing's a 10.7. It don't fly like a 10.7. You put it on a gauge, it's not a 10.7. It just says it is.
Yep.
Well, why do you do that? I said, because it blows Tom Dixon and some of the other guys' minds. Because what are you doing? I said, flying, Tom. And then he watched it fly and he said, that ain't no 10.7. That prop's a 10.7. It just, we've repitched it. I learned what a Prather pitch gauge was at an early age. I bought one back when you could afford to buy one, and learned how to use it. And these guys, Tom Luper and some of the guys local taught me how to use it, and we've been using them for 40 years now.
Somebody had a new Prather pitch gauge on Stunt Hangar classified, sold it for $50.
Really?
That was actually a deal.
That was
actually a deal.
I bought a used one. Thought I was doing good. I got it for $85 or $90.
Yeah, I bought mine for $35 new way back when.
Yeah.
But back then, everybody said, "Oh, you don't need all that crap. You don't need all that crap. If you want to fly, you do."
So you repitch the whole every station. Or you just repitch the last inch or so of the prop.
I do the last 3 inches. Wendy always did the last 2 inches. I do the last 3 inches. But when you go fly, you need to remember, especially if you've repitched it, you need to check it often, like every other time you go out to fly. Right. And everybody said, well, I don't want to take my plane apart that often. I said, well, do you want the plane to last? And they look at you funny and you say, well, seriously, do you want your plane to last? Because if you don't take it apart at least every other time you fly, if you fly twice, 3 times a week like we do, then all that fuel is staying up in that cowling. That's just going to soak in and ruin your airplane. Besides, if that propeller gets a nick in it or it's off balance, especially when we're running plane bearing motors, you'll ruin your motor or that stupid prop will come apart and you get a shaft run and you really did kill your motor. It's just, it's not worth it. When you get home, take the hour. You were out to field 4 or 5 hours, take an hour and clean the plane up. You built it over 3 to 6 months, or like me, 20 years, and take the time to clean the darn thing up and take care of it. The guys are all ribbing me. What that comment's about? The guys are all ribbing me. I have a impact downstairs, an impact and a Bearcat profile. that I built 28 years ago. And the reason I know that, because I built them in my little house, and I've been in this house 28 years, and they're still downstairs needing painting. The Bearcat is blue. The Impact is white, but that's as far as either one of them have gotten. And I'm working on the Impact. I worked on the Impact a little bit today, and I'm hoping to try to, if it don't rain, maybe shoot some paint on it tomorrow. Try to fly it before Christmas. I told Luke yesterday I'm going to try to fly it. My goal is to fly that one before Christmas. The Bearcat I'm not worried about, because I got a BBQB I got to finish, and I want to take the two of them out there at the same time. But maybe by Christmas, we'll see. I don't know. How do you guys finish them so quick? I don't understand. You guys start one, and 6 weeks later you're flying it.
Yeah, we're talking about
most people seem to be able to build a plane in 3 months. The only one that I've ever known could do that was Wendy Ertnowski. And Wendy weren't normal.
Yep.
He was not normal. He could do things nobody else could do. What Wendy can do with an airbrush or a paintbrush is just unbelievable. But he can build some beautiful airplanes too. Testarossa was one of the coolest looking planes I'd ever seen. But my favorite Wendy plane was his Spitfire or Seafire. That thing was just real. It just was unbelievable.
Hey, Phil.
Yes, sir.
You know, the Testarossa was in my possession for about 2 weeks.
No, I didn't know that.
When it got sold, I helped transfer ownership of the airplane. Wendy worked out a deal with Paul Taylor to get that airplane. And then Paul Taylor sold that airplane. And the guy was coming to Nashville. And Paul's son lives in Nashville. So Paul got the airplane to his son. I got the airplane from his son, had it here in the shop for about 2 weeks. And then the new owner flew his airplane here, like his own private airplane, rented a car, drove to my house, and then spent 4 hours in my shop disassembling the airplane to take it home. So I had the Testarossa here for over 2. Oh, man, I was so nervous having that thing here, you know. But yeah, and it was actually on Sam's.
The kids
sold
it. Gosh.
10th birthday 10 years ago, 2 years ago. It was on Sam's 10th birthday 2 years ago. So we had a birthday party with like 30 kids here. And then this guy, we're cleaning up from the birthday party. And the guy shows up at 6 o'clock in the evening after we had a house full of people all day long. And I had to help him take it apart because it was not a take apart, even though it came apart. It wasn't meant as a take apart airplane. So, I mean, we were unsoldering flap horns and elevator stuff and you know, just taking the whole thing apart. And used about every piece of bubble wrap that I owned and every piece of clear packing tape. Because, I mean, we broke this thing down to all the smallest components it could be in and bubble wrapped everything because he had to stuff it in his airplane to fly it home, which was, I think he was flying a Cirrus is what he flew here in. But yeah, the Testarossa was something else, man. Beautiful airplane.
First time I saw it,
I remember the video.
First time I saw it was at Brodak.
Yeah, you remember that? And it had a carbon fiber tank in it. I remember that. That was the first time I ever saw a carbon fiber tank.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was interesting, though, was the push rods to the flap horns and to the elevator. There was so much corrosion on those things, man. They were like, it was insane the amount of corrosion that was on there. I mean, they were soldered. Everything was soldered, you know. And we had to heat everything up and unsolder everything, take it apart. But it had a bunch of corrosion on it. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't clean
That
it up once he
happens
That's
soldered it.
surprising because he was always a big
He let
proponent of.
Don't neutralize.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a big proponent of
You know, Wendy
neutralizing with
lost a lot
baking
of
soda
airplanes
and water.
Yeah. Wendy lost a lot of airplanes due to broken push rods and broken lead out wires and all that stuff. And I think a lot of it was from corrosion eating through it. Because, man, I'm telling you, there for a while he was losing a plane every 3 months to a broken wire or something. I thought, what in the world are you doing wrong? Gosh, he could build like nobody I ever saw, but he had his share of bad luck too. But that was a pretty airplane. First time I
Well,
saw
I
it.
built
So
this
Tom, what was you trying to
navigator.
tell us earlier?
67. Do I? That's
I was
pretty.
just gonna say
Did
to
you ever
Phil,
get it flying?
I built this navigator in 17 days from scratch, and it's a scaled up navigator, scaled up to 67-inch wingspan.
Somebody spank him.
17-day build.
Oh Lord, it must
Yeah,
be
just
nice.
spank him.
I can't cover one in 17 days. I can't cover one in 17 days.
Hell, I
I'm
can't put
telling
an
you.
ARF together.
I used to think it was. Yeah. Mike is the
What's
champion of that, man. He stayed home one weekend and put a SV11 together. Mike there is the champion of the almost ready to flies. He built an SV11 in a weekend and brought it to Atlanta. The darn thing looked nice. I don't know how it flew. I didn't get to see it fly, but it looked good.
Well, thank you.
I think next time I get an ARF I need built quick, I'm going to send it to
It
Mike.
flew pretty good.
I'm going to send it to Mike because he can do a good job on them.
There you go.
You still flying it?
Well, I was on a mission to get that one done.
Do what?
I wanted to fly it. And I got, I said I was on a mission to get that one done. So I started it Friday and it was ready Sunday. I got another one sitting here, another SV. I just got a Vector I bought from Peter Klosky that had on Stunt Hangar. Vector 40 ARF. He had a pretty good price on it. So I bought that for Sam. And we're going to put Aero Tiger 36 in that one. And then I've got the Tudor 2 ARF that I picked up through the Facebook Marketplace here not long ago. Yeah, I showed you all that stuff I got from that guy, but I got a brand new Tudor 2 ARF. We're going to put a Dixon 46 in that for Sam as well. So, but I don't think I need to put any more together this year. Contest. Go ahead, Steve.
What Vector 40 did you get? One of the new ones?
Tell you what, I'd like to.
Or an old one?
It's a new one. It's a new one.
I have a new one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I have the new
The
one.
old
Was there
ones,
much
if you
difference
try
in
to
them?
put a different motor in it besides a Rodak 40, you had to cut out the bulkhead and move it and stuff. It was a real pain in the butt, but you could get it. You could get another one in it.
I
Mine's
may
electric.
try to get the Tudor
Mine's electric.
ready for Arkansas and Baton Rouge and King Orange for Sam, but I don't think we need it. He's got enough other profiles, and we just got that Pathfinder ARF from Dale Berry. He gave him at Canton, and we've put a motor on that, and we haven't flown that yet. So he's got enough options to fly for contests.
He's gonna love
the
that.
last 3 contests of the year. Yeah.
Once he flies that, you'll put the rest of it away. That Pathfinder really flies. That's a nice flying plane.
Yeah, I've owned one in the
check
past.
the lead
and
out.
I
We're doing a pretty good job.
I
Yeah, check the lead outs because the ARFs are.
actually I did. I already did. I changed them already. Did I do that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I did that.
Good deal.
Yeah,
Are
I've
you
already swapped them out.
Good deal.
See you, Steve.
You out of here, Steve, already?
He left.
Yeah,
He
I
gone.
was going to aggravate him some more, but that's okay.
Hey, Tom, I was asking you what kind of finish you had on your Navigator. Tom. That's what my question was. I couldn't tell by the picture.
That's a monocoat finish.
Okay.
All right, let me ask a dumb question then.
Hey, do you guys
Do you use monocoat or do you use a conocoat?
I use monocoat.
I use monocoat or cover.
Just don't mix the two.
I think it's a conocoat. That works great.
And attach to a pipe different.
I didn't use.
I wish they
I'll use
made
anything
it
with solar film.
I wish they
Microfilm.
still made the I wish they still made the cover right microfilm. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I liked the stuff. I can't even remember the name of it, but it was like had a cloth texture to it. That stuff was great on sail. Oh, that's pretty.
Oh,
that stuff was great on sailplanes. 17
That
days.
looks pretty in the nude,
a little
Tom.
heavy though.
Great day. Oh, he was smart. He put the controls in it as he went. I spent 3 days putting the controls in a Dirty Birdie. I was banging around in the basement and found a Dirty Birdie kit. It's got to be 40 years old. I couldn't sell it, so I said, heck with it, I'll build it. I had an old OS Max 60 rear exhaust, like I used to fly in them. So I put one together, and it took me forever to put everything in it. Took it out to the field. Was just taxiing the thing up and back, just playing with it up and back. And the guy walked up and says, I'll give you $1,000 for it right now. I handed it to him.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
That was a kit that was worth building.
Goodness.
Couldn't sell it as a kit, but
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he wanted it bad. He says, I'm not a builder, but I can buy it. He says, I'll give you $1,000 for it right now. I couldn't sell the motor. I couldn't sell the airplane. I didn't need the radio. And he had money and couldn't. He said he couldn't build. Now, he has called me one time to do a little repair to it. He made it sound like he tore the wingtip off of it. He brought it out to the field and he nicked the wingtip on landing. He's one of these guys that's really picky. So I took a iron with me and ironed it out and fixed it. And he wanted to pay me for that. I said, no. You ain't paying me for that. Buy me a Pepsi sometime. He had a $50 bill in his hand. Don't buy me a Pepsi sometime.
That's cool.
I mean, I need money as much as the
That
next
looks
guy.
really good, Tom.
I ain't taking advantage of nobody. That's gorgeous. I would love to be able to build something like that, but I just don't have the talent for something like that. That is
in
gorgeous.
17 days. It's 17 days.
I could do that.
days.
Eat
in
anything
17
during that
years.
17 days?
So,
From scratch.
so Tom,
That's
what was
the
your
only way to
motivation?
build.
I'm
Is there
surprised you had that
something,
much balsa laying around.
That's
something pressing, or what was going on?
That's the reason I had that.
No, there was.
That's the reason I had that. That's the reason I had that kit laying around.
What happened was
been laying there 30 years. I hadn't built a kit in 30 years.
I just got put on furlough, so I had more time than I normally do when I'm working.
Oh.
Okay.
Where you work?
I work
I
for
used to work for
Zeiss,
AT&T. We
works
used
in
to
the
get
cold.
furloughed
It's
about
normally an
every year.
optical company,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
the division
in the
I work
cold.
for, we make coordinate
Oh,
measurement machines, and I'm an
Oh, yeah.
electronic engineer at Zeiss.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Very
Well,
cool.
I'm supposed to be an electronic technician, but I worked on traffic signals. I worked on traffic signals for 30 years, and You talk about any kind of weather 24 hours a day. If one of the darn things went in the flash or went out, they'd call you. And you don't have a choice. You get up and go now. So when I retired, the first thing that happened, somebody called me and said, "We want you. I heard you just left the city." I said, "Yeah, I did. I just retired. We want you to come to work for us. You'll only be on call 1 week out of 12. I said, "No. One thing I can tell you, I will never be on call again."
Good for you.
That is something else.
Well, I'd like to have
That
a
is
session
sharp.
with Tom. I'd like to have a session with Tom. I was looking at a 2,000 watt amplifier for my ham radio, solid state. I can buy the main board with the high power transistors on it, but I got to finish up the rest of it, the power supply and all of that. And I'm trying to decide whether I'm good enough yet to do that or just save my money.
Well, I tell you what, when you get ready to buy any of that stuff, let me know. My brother-in-law is an electronics genius, and he has.
One of you go ahead.
I don't know. He was saying.
John, is it a PC board? And you just solder
when you get ready to.
Tom, it's a PC board, but it has all the components mounted, and it also, if the rear guy has the automatic antenna built into it as well. It's a pretty nice board, you know.
That's a nice one.
But there are some things, you know. Yeah, there are some things in there that I'm not familiar with. Because I never was a great at electronics. You know, I can play with and do little things, but you know, the board costs about $500-600, and you know the amplifier itself, if I bought that, would be $4,000 or $5,000 ready to go. So yeah, I've gone all these years, 40 years without an amplifier, you know, but.
You don't have an amplifier?
Oh, what I will, huh?
You don't have an amplifier?
No, I don't. I rely on my antenna systems. I understand a little bit better, and I know how to put together a pretty decent antenna. And you know, money spent into an antenna system can really pay dividends, almost like an amplifier. You get a lousy antenna with an amplifier, you got a lousy signal. But if you get a good antenna and put an amplifier on it, all of a sudden you're king of the hill. Not that I want to be king of the hill.
I got a brother who has
VSWR.
Yeah, my brother.
VSWR matching.
My brother-in-law has a 4-digit number.
To the transmitter, making sure you're using a full wave or a half wave antenna.
Well, the antenna I'm building right now.
He's really into.
Yeah, the antenna I'm building. I have a 4-digit number myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
I can't remember what his is now. GW 4W. He's got one of those old numbers. I don't remember what it was. He was WA4DBJ for forever, and then he changed and got this 4-digit number.
Well, it would be start with an N, a K, or a W. It would start with an N or a K or a W. Because G, it would be Great Britain or England.
I think it's W. I'll find out. Let you know Monday. I'll go look at his license tag. Because he's always been in the W4GW. His sister just let me know W4GW. but he's always been big into linear amplifiers and all that stuff. He maintains two, oh gosh, whatever it is that y'all talk to, and that bounces the signal to somewhere else. I've forgotten. Repeater stations.
Yeah,
He maintains two repeater stations, and he has fire tower. He legitimately owns a fire tower. I mean, 300 feet straight up. But anyway, he taught me about antennas way back when. Well, I would have gotten into ham radios, but my wife told me a long time ago, one more obsession, boy, and you're out of here. So I don't have hobbies. I have obsessions.
My buddy come over.
One more obsession, and you're out of here.
I met a guy here locally, a ham radio operator. I didn't know there was any around me. He's about 5 miles away. He came over. We had a nice eyeball cue, type of thing. Sitting around there, and his wife will only let him have 2 antennas up. So I took him out and I showed him the one I'm building. We'll have one tower or one support, but there'll be four antennas hanging off of it. And he made the comment the next day. We were talking on a net, the California and Oregon and Washington and New Mexico and Colorado and Utah and Idaho. We're all in on this. And he was describing coming over here and visiting with me. And he said, yeah, John's kind of batching it now. He doesn't have any HOA requirement. He said, that means housewife on attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I tell you what.
Housewife on attack.
That's pretty good. Well, anyway, what I was going to tell you, the darndest thing I ever saw anybody do in CB radios or ham radios, either one. A buddy of mine a lot of the local hams used to be single sideband CB. They'd also play on that. Well, in our area over in Conoke, everybody had chain link fence. Well, we got looking one day, and this fence goes for miles. I mean, literally miles. We put 5 watts. We loaded up the chain link fence, put 5 watts in that stupid thing, and talked to California.
Oh, yeah.
I said, on 5 watts. I said, my goodness, this is pretty cool. Of course, the skip had to be just right. But.
Yeah, you want to hear this? This antenna I'm building has 4 diversity loops in its structure. And the loops make it quiet. It takes about half the noise off the signal because the closed loop, there's no capacitance at the peak point. So it becomes a quiet antenna, and the way it's set up, it has a low angle of departure. That's why it acts like an amplifier. Instead of shooting all its signal up into the air like this, it shoots it out like that towards the right.
Directs it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but I built the same antenna when I lived in Wisconsin, and I got on a net there, and I worked all states net, and I was running 5 watts of power on 75 meters. Now that's 75 meters.
Doing something.
Yeah, I worked all states. I worked the Virgin Islands, Portugal, and Great Britain, and all 50 states on 5 watts of power with it. So the antenna works.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever seen one.
Yeah, it's open feed wire.
Yeah, that's neat. I saw a gizmochi. I had heard about one of these things for years, but I heard a guy across town talking on a gizmochi, and I said, what the heck is a gizmochi? And he says, well, CT, come by here and I'll show you. So I dropped by his house, and I went by his house, and he had this funny looking antenna sitting in the front yard. So help me, it's 4 feet off the ground. The radials are coming down to within 10 inches of the ground. And it looks like 3 triangles or 5 triangles on a central bar, And he's loading this thing up on 5 watts and just blowing your eardrums out across town. I said, man, I can't wait till we get this thing on the tower. I want to see what it'll do. He said, you know what? It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a 10-meter ham antenna. And he's talking on 11 meters with it. I said, my word. He said, we got to retune it a little bit when we put it up. He'd retuned it. You'd have to know PM. The guy called himself PM, poor man. He was anything but.
Yeah.
He was quite neat. But we also had Reynolds. I cannot think of his name, and I knew the guy. Oh, good gosh. Zach Reynolds was here in town, and Zach had a tower that was 200 feet tall, and the whole tower turned.
Yeah.
I ain't talking a tower like this. I mean a tower 4 of us couldn't reach around if we held hands. We couldn't reach around it.
Yeah,
and the whole tower turned.
He had a Ford V8. He had a Ford V8 powering the rotator, right?
I don't know what he had powering that thing, but he had whatever there's one brand of ham radio, and I know it if I heard it, but I can't remember it now. But they were in the 70s. They were like $8,000. Started with a T, I think, and
Tail twister.
He had, I don't know. I can't remember that. I don't think that's it. But he had 4 of them. I said, Zach, why do you need 4? He said, well, if that breaks, I come over here, use this one until I can get that one fixed. But you got 4 of them. It's just the way Zach worked, man.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, the thing that I worry about is I'm up high enough. I've got trees in the area that are a little bit higher, so I'm counting on them. When we do get the rare thunderstorm, you know, I worry about a lightning strike. And I have got things that ground. The antenna's got 4 ground rods driven in around it and hooked up so that it should, because you get a problem. You don't have to get hit with the lightning strike. If it just strikes near you, you can get enough power come out of it. It will make things hurt. And my equipment is grounded, to a separate ground. And there's a pro on that. Another pro on that though is it makes your radio quieter. Gets rid of some of the noise.
You ever been out flying? You ever been out flying with a hard rock handle and had just lightning in the area?
Yep.
I've never had that happen.
I was out. You're lucky. You are lucky. Yeah. I was judging at a contest, and Bob Hunt's out there. I thought, what? I said, Bob, what the heck's the matter? He said, I'm getting zapped.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that does not sound very comfortable.
Okay. I looked around, and everywhere I see as clear as it can be, and I'm saying, what the heck is he talking about? And I turn around and look behind us. There's a black cloud headed our way that is mean looking. So his engine burned quick. We've got everything in the car. Put everything away.
I used to fly when I was a kid in Southern California, and it'd be a clear day, sunny, but it usually be dry, low humidity, things like that. And you come up over that wing over, and you get right there, just zap, zap, zap. Found out, and there wouldn't be a cloud in the sky, but we found out how to stop that from happening. You connect a wire to your top lead out, or top wire, wrap it around your handle, and connect it to the bottom wire. So now when you're holding it, your hand, you're grounded, and any little static charge in there bleeds off through your body. You don't even feel it. It bleeds off through there, and you won't get zapped.
So you connect the wire, you wrap it around the handle, and you connect to the bottom wire?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay. I'll have to keep that in mind because I don't want to get zapped.
No, you won't get zapped because what it does, it's constantly, any static charge builds up on the lines, it constantly grounds through you, and it's such a mild charge, you don't feel it, and it's well worth doing if you're in an area where you might get zapped on a regular occasion, because there's nothing that'll screw up your pattern worse than getting zapped in the wrong place.
Oh, I know. Look at the top of the reverse wing over. You get a little wave.
Well, that's top of your square loops. Top of your outsides, your hourglass. How do you like to screw up the hourglass? You're coming down your right here, and you get zapped with. I mean,
I don't need any help. I don't need help with nature.
I have destroyed more airplanes learning the hourglass than any other maneuver. And once you learn it, it's so simple.
Yep.
But everybody wants to really lay it over, and just when you look
Yeah,
at the book,
right.
it's like this. It's not like this. It's
Yes,
like this.
exactly. Right.
So
Now,
Yeah,
see, to me, it was
I'm
the
watching
vertical 8.
everybody is doing that. Yeah, I'm watching everybody. They're doing
transit.
the same thing. In the third
Yeah.
quarter, they tuck it in so hard, they cannot pull out, and they end up with a vertical 8.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what happens. That's what happens. I tell you what, that was an interesting maneuver to learn. I stuffed the same airplane 4 times and took out 4 OS 35S's. And Tom Looper finally showed me a Sig Twister kit and said, "Buy this. I've got several Fox 35s. Buy this." So I bought it and put a Fox 35 on it. I hated Fox 35 the day I started flying them, and I hated the day I ended flying them because I
Uh-oh.
was used to an OS. Those things were terrible.
Jeff there.
Do what?
I'm sure Jeff Riley has a different opinion about that.
Oh, I know Jeff loves them, and I don't blame guys. I still love redhead 35s.
Me too.
I still have 6 of those. But a Fox just gave me all kinds of weird problems. And Tom Looper said, once you finally learn the pattern, I will fix you a Fox 35 that runs like everybody else's. Okay, so what's the secret? He said, the ones I'm giving you are out of crap parts. They're used up parts. The cases are wore out, the sleeves are wore out, the pistons are wore out, and it's a piece of this, and a piece of that, because you're going to tear them up. And I thought, well, I guess that's smart in the long run, but anyway, I finally learned the pattern, and Tommy gave me a Fox 35 that had a Hemi head, a stuffer backplate, the venturi had been drilled, the crank had been balanced, the rod had been replaced with something Elmer Huff made, ABC sleeve and piston. I've had that motor 30 years, and I still love it.
Yeah.
When I croak, that one may go with me. That one, I love that motor.
Have them put that in your right hand when you're in the box, you know?
That might be. I tell you what, I've had a couple of my buddies that passed that knew they were getting ready to pass. I mean, cancer and heart failure. And I told them, I just want you to remember one thing. He said, what's that? I said, save me a spot on the circle.
Yeah,
he looked at me. He says, you got it. So
yeah.
I know I got a spot on the circle when I get there. Because Jeff is mean enough. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from joining Jeff.
I just hope when the time comes that I've been done the right thing, so St. Peter lets me through the gate. You know.
Well, that's me. But if I get there, I know there'll be room for me at the circle because he was a good Christian guy, and in fact, he's a pastor. But
really,
he's one of those guys that if he said he's flying with us, it sounded like it came from his underwear. He had a real deep voice, and when he said it boomed. And when he says we're going to do this, everybody said okay. That was the end of that. Discussion
Hey
over.
guys, I wanted to talk about something I saw this week. I was watching Sparky's video on the control system. Did anybody watch that?
No, I didn't. I've seen it before.
It was really good because I've heard this, but I never thought of how to do it. You know how when you put the flap horn and you connect it to the push rod to the bell crank, the geometry of that.
Yeah.
One thing I saw that Sparky did that I thought was really neat. Now, of course, it's in a cradle. You know, he builds the lost foam wings, right? So it's, I'm sure it's level and it's parallel to the deck. So, anyways, he puts the square up against the trailing edge against the flap horn so that the top hole, he finally gets it so that the top hole is directly over, the pivot point.
90 degrees over the horn, yeah.
And I've heard of that, but when he put the square, and I could see how he had it lined up, and he kept adjusting the push rod until he got it just perfect. And he said that eliminates a lot of people's problems. And flying Sparky's plane, my recollections, I remember, is that it turned the same, inside and outside. Yeah. It was a really good flying plane, and that probably is one of the reasons, besides it being very light, but that might have been it. Because I've had planes where it turns quicker one way than the other, and I would just kind of eyeball it, getting the top hole right over the pivot point, but I never thought to put a square up against it, and I thought that was a really good idea.
I got
Well,
a question.
another trick. Go ahead.
Let me jump this in there, and then I'll hand it over to you, Phil. Okay.
Okay, go for it.
You're saying the top hole, the one that comes off the belt crank to the flap horn, the top hole, is 90 degrees directly above?
No, I'm talking about the flap horn. The top
the flap horn
is directly over the pivot of the flap horn. You know, it's supposed to be directly on that wire.
The connection hole is directly over the pivot point. That's what he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why he does it.
Because it's a bent flap horn. Has an angle to it. So he puts it so that when it's tilted, this here is right in line with the wire.
That's wrong.
That is wrong.
The geometry situation, the reason that horn leans forward is because your flap push, or your push rod from your belt crank to your flap is coming out at an angle. If you do it to where it's here, you've already over-centered. So it's like steering on a car. If you don't get it right, you're going to wear your front tires out because they're fighting each other. So you have to lean it forward. Say what I do is I'll lay out my dimensions graphically. It's the easiest way to do it when you've got AutoCAD working for you.
Falling.
Okay, back to you lay your pivot point for your flap and then you correlate that, the absolute direct measurement to the pivot point on the belt crank. And then you say you got 1.25 inches arm on your flap horn. You know, it's a slow control. So you got 1.25 inches. So I'll make a circle with a 5/8 radius, and now I'll go from with the center of the pivot point for the belt crank. I'll do a line from there and connect it to the tangent point on that circle. That is where your control geometry is at 0, 0. And then you can swing your, I'll lay a schematic, just a sketchy skeleton version of the belt crank above it so I can just translate in an orthographic projection. So I'll rotate it. I figure 50 degrees of rotation each direction is about what's normally average use on a belt crank in pattern. And so I'll set where the hole is for that the flap horn is going to be mounted into. Say it's 5/8 of an inch from the pivot point of the belt crank. Could be more, could be less, depending on how fast or how slow you want your control. But you set that in, and then you swing that arc. Now, when you swing it and you rotate the 50 degrees each way, you've got a point there that establishes the fore and aft movement on your push rod coming off your belt crank. Okay, so now you know how far you're going to go. So you can now, I use another circle, start at go back to the original drawing, start at the pivot point of the belt crank, and I'll come to the flap mount where the flap is push rod is mounted to the flap arm. There we go. That distance, I'll draw a circle with that radius, so it goes right through that mounting bolt for the.
Do you have a drawing of this, John? It would help me to keep up with you.
I don't have it right. I can have it for Monday. Okay. So anyway, what I do then is I'll take and I'll leave that radius in the computer and I'll move it over to the aft point and set that point there where the maximum throw is at 50 degrees, and I'll swing another. You see, I'm doing it on a straight line. You don't want to do it on a curve, because that will throw you all off. You got a straight line movement. You go from that point, draw another one, and you'll see where the arc intersects the arc of the flap horn movement. And then you go to the front one and you do the same thing, same radius on the circle. Now you've got your 2 points, you get your 3 points, your neutral and your maximum up flap and your maximum down flap. And what you want is you want the maximums to be at the same degrees of throw. That's how you get, if you go straight up and down, you will get much more throw one direction than you do the other. What you do want
most planes turn.
Yeah. It's like on a car. You want the outer wheel or inner wheel has to turn more than the outer wheel to make the radius. Otherwise, you're going to be scuffing tires.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now the lower hole that the push rod goes from the flap horn to the elevator is at 90 degrees. You want that one at 90 degrees above the pivot point, because you're going to have, unless you've got an inline design, then you got to go through the whole thing again, because you got to lean the elevator horn to meet, so that it meets just like it meets it at a proper angle, just like you did the flap horn. But if you've got it like a normal one, where you got the wing center line here, you got the thrust line a little higher, and you got the stab and elevator line a little higher than that. Usually, that one of the reasons that works is because that almost makes a perfectly straight line. Actually, it's not straight. It rocks like this as it goes, and it rocks in the center as it's making its motion. But that gives you a 1-to-1 or very close to 1-to-1 on the elevator. So now you got 1-to-1 on the flaps, as far as throws, not ratios. The throw from neutral to up and neutral to down is the same. That's what you want. You want to have the same throw on the flap, 1-to-1 on the flap and 1-to-1 on the elevator. Not 1-to-1 ratio, but 1-to-1 throw. Now, when you get there, you started off. I've had them be as much as 6 degrees off when I brought them out on some of the designs. And if you don't straighten them out, you'll have a rough time getting the airplane to come into trim. Now, when you got the problem where you've got one that turns one faster one direction than it does the other,
yeah, right.
You need to go in there. And lengthen or shorten the push rod to the elevator. I like to get on there with my and jig everything up and make sure that I got my flaps and elevators directly at 0, and at 0 on the elevator. And I want 2 degrees, 1.5 to 2 degrees down thrust on the engine. I'm one of the few guys that advocate it, but it works, and it works very good. So I'll wind up, set it up, 1.5 to 2 degrees down thrust, 0 on the wing chord line, maybe a 1/2 degree positive on the stab. It's not really that necessary, but it's just a little insurance. And I set the elevator so the elevator is on its center line for the stab in the elevator. You start there, you should have equal turns. If you don't, like I say, if you've got to have more down to get it equal, then you shorten your flap rod, your elevator push rod. You shorten that a little and try it until you could get it so you now have equal inside and out. If it's the other way around, of course, you lengthen it. Having done that, the way I set mine up, I oftentimes get an airplane that's all ready to fly. It flies perfect. Very, very little trimming has to be done to get it to fly a competitive pattern right off the board. But you're always trimming no matter what.
Yeah.
So you've got to be open to watching have somebody else watch it, because they might see something that's happening with your plane that it's either caused by you or caused by your trim.
Right. Yeah.
But so it's really important, in my opinion, it's really important to get the flaps so that when you give 50 degrees of, say, up elevator, that you get, let's say I set mine up for about 30 degrees flaps maximum, or 27 degrees, something like that. But
right.
If I set up for 30 degrees, I want 30 degrees down. When I go the other way, I want 30 degrees up.
Right.
If I don't do that, I've got asymmetry in my flight control.
Right.
Same thing with the elevator. If I got 30 degrees, I might go 35 degrees on my elevator. I want 35 up and 35 down. I've had them go 27 up and almost close to 40 on down. You know, that's going to really make your, you know, if you don't correct it. You know, I wrote the article on control geometry back in 92 or 93 on the old CompuServe forum. And Lou from Arizona sent me an email. And he said, "Do you mind if I write this up and publish it in Stunt News?" And he did. He wrote it up and published it. And we discussed, got discussed for business, pretty well known by serious builders that that's the way you go. And there's
what year Stunt News was that? I want to see if I can find that. I
Oh,
know
it'd
that
be back in
has
the
a lot of
90s.
archive now.
Yeah, it'd be back in the 90s. It wouldn't be before 92, and it might be around 94, somewhere in there. I wish I could get the article. It was a lengthy article I wrote on CompuServe. I wish I could find somebody that had pulled it off. I don't know if it's still there or not. I doubt it. But you know,
in the archives.
I used to design steering. I worked for a company called Majesco in Alhambra, California, and we built material handling equipment. And some of this were four-wheel steering trailers. You know, you had some that you could pull down for the aircraft industry and for the airports. We had them that you could pull them in a train, like down a relatively narrow basement type route, and they could come to a turn, make a turn, and all of those trailers would follow and turn at the same place. So, because if you just have front steering on them and you make a turn, that rear one is going to be cutting way inside, you know, because it's like an 18-wheeler. He has to swing out to make his turn because his trailer is going to cut the curb or bounce off the curb if he doesn't do it. So
they still use those.
Yeah. So the thing is I got taught how to set up the steering geometry, and the geometry that's used to set up our control system is very similar to the geometry that we use to adjust or to set up the control systems.
I'll be picking your ear when I get to that part of this precious balsa build.
Yeah, no problem. You can, if you get to where you can send me what throws you're planning out. Well, first I use a basic 50 degrees either way. You won't get more than that. If you do, there's something wrong. And if you're using
if you're
using a 4-inch bell crank, that's pretty standard. I just need to know what your throw is on the for the flap horn, you know, for the flap push rod, you know, whether you're an inch out from the pivot point, 3/4 of an inch, an inch and a quarter, whatever you're planning on using. And I could probably lay it out and give you a better estimate of what that dimension should be once I start working on it. I also need to know your flap horn height. I need to know the distance between the pivot point of the bell crank and the pivot point of your flap, and the distance to between your flap and your elevator. So I got the flap horn to elevator horn distance to set up your controls. And you can come up pretty darn close. I'll be more than willing to help you with it.
Well, absolutely. We'll do that. I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, Go ahead. Go
The
ahead.
only thing I can think of that you didn't mention is if you have an elevator and you have the flaps are down here so they're asymmetric or whatever, like a Mustang, and that rod's got to come up to the elevator at a real angle up, then what you need to remember to do is take your well, turned around the other way now, the elevator's back here. Take your rod, and since that rod comes up at an angle like this, measure the angle from the push rod, take your horn, excuse me, and bend it back to where the angle from the push rod up to the pivot point is 90 degrees. Now you'll have equal throw both directions. Because if you just use 90 degrees, you don't have a whole lot of down, but you got a whole bunch of up.
Well, and you're absolutely right. But most stunners are set up to where the flap horn or the elevator horn between the flap and the elevator are almost flat level.
Almost straight.
Yeah,
almost.
almost.
Every once in a while you hit one like a P51 or I wanted an ME109. I don't know why I wanted an ME109. Right. That was a booger. I didn't build it. A buddy of mine built one, and I wanted to help him set it up. I couldn't. He says, this thing don't turn the same at all. And I flew it one time, and wow, it was way off. So it was hard to convince him to cut into his brand new stunner and repair those horns. But did it and grabbed it, reached in and grabbed a horn with a pair of pliers and took 2 pieces of pine block and bent that horn down where everything was 90 degrees where it would turn. And then extended, he did use an adjustable rod, thank goodness, and extended the rod, and it flies like a stunner now. But it was hard to convince him to cut his new plane.
That's exactly right. And the thing is, when you've got 0 degrees, you straight line, thrust line, wing chord line, and stab and elevator line are all on the same line. There, your problem is you got an elevator. Your flap horn is up here, and you're down here to get to the
elevator way down here.
Elevator, and so you actually have to take the horn. It has to lean back further on the flap horn, so you can get your geometry set up for the pivot or the hole to go for the flap horn to mount to, or the elevator horn to mount to go back to the flap, and you've got to lean the elevator back a little so that everything meets up at 0-0 geometry. If you don't do it, then you're going to have some problems tying in and getting the flaps and elevators to move correctly. Similar to using
a bent. Go ahead.
So, like Mike Strega, the wing is like 3 1/4 inch thick, right?
Right.
So the belt crank, if by chance the belt crank is not exactly in the middle of that wing thickness, that's going to affect this geometry, right?
Well, yeah, but you see what
because the platform is in the middle of the trailing edge, and if the belt crank's not in the middle, is that going to throw things off also?
If we know that that's the situation and we know the dimensions, we can lay it out and make the changes graphically to where I can say you got to set this up like this. I can draw you a picture of your flap horn and your elevator horn, knowing the dimensions. I need to know how high your stab and elevator is above your chord line for your wing, things like that. But we can lay it all out for you. It's really simple. Once you've seen it done, it's really you can do it with the normal draftsman tool on a board. The problem is it's hard for you to measure as exactly as CAD will measure. I can measure so close in angles that you have to use a protractor and you could be a little bit off. That little bit may not be anything to worry about, but it does exist when you're doing it by hand. It's such a simple thing when you've seen it done. It really is.
I've just never seen it done, so I'm a little bit lost. But yeah, I follow you. Probably if I seen it, I learn visually. Someone can tell me something, and I can get it kind of. But when I see it, I totally get it.
You're like me. You're a very visual person.
Yeah, very visual. That's how I learned. I learned that way kinetically and visually, not so much auditorily, but just those two ways I learned from most.
A lot of
guys,
people like you.
When we were in school and we thought that I'm never going to use this math again. I don't know why I got to take all this math. I'm never going to use it again. Guess what?
Yeah.
We're using it.
Yeah, I know. I love math and I love geometry. I didn't like trigonometry, but I love geometry. I love physics. Love chemistry. I love all the math because 1 + 1 is always 2. It doesn't matter what you look like.
Not in new math. Not in new math.
Not in new
I don't
math.
know about the new math.
I was trying to help my grandson with new math, and it makes no sense.
Let me tell you that trigonometry, you can figure these problems with the control line so quick and easy if you are really good at trigonometry, because you've got all you need is the distances and the heights and you can get in there. It just works. I'm not that good at trig, so I do it graphically. I took trig. I'm not a math person. I do most stuff with very simple algebra or algebra and regular math. I understand those. Trigonometry, I know it's good. I know it works. I just can't keep it going.
I understand. Trust me, I understand. I made a terrible mistake when I was I don't know what grade it was, but I just kind of just went through trigonometry to get through it, thinking it was all done and over with. But then it came back to haunt me in calculus. Every math, it comes back. You're like, oh, I thought trig was done with, but it sneaks into. I mean, I had always had trouble with trigonometry, and I remember I finally bombed out when I finally took vector calculus. But that's
I couldn't. I couldn't do that at all.
Calculus.
I got an A in calculus and I got an F in vector calculus. I couldn't figure that at all.
Well, that's kind of where I bombed out to. That's when I kind of hit the wall.
Yeah, calculus to me, I mean, again, it was when I could say, oh, I can see how this can be useful, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I had trouble with pre-calculus. I had to take calculus in my coursework, and I got through with like a D+ or something like that. But it really drug my GPA down because I was at about a 3.95 when I went into the math. I took trig 3 times trying to get my score up so that I'd have my GPA a little bit higher. I wanted to be on the honor roll.
Good for you.
Yeah, well, I made the honor roll, but it was tough. It was tough. But I don't remember enough about the trig, but I know the trig will do the job. If you are good at enough at trig, you can take these numbers and you can figure out your whole control system and figure out how to make it work right. Wow. You don't have to go through the graphics. For me, I'm also visual. The graphics I was great at geometry. All right. They don't even teach geometry anymore. At geometry, though, I can visualize the various things and see how they work. And, I'm kind of mechanical minded and visually, I'm like you guys. Doing it graphically on the computer is fast and easy, and I get the right answers.
Yeah,
I can see what I'm doing.
Basically, what it is it's approaching the problem from the completed item back towards the theoretical side. How is this item work? Versus starting from the theoretical side. Let me design something that I think will work with the numbers and do the iterations up until we get the final product. And then the final product should sort of work like the numbers we plugged in, but obviously not all the time does that happen.
Yeah.
Real world is different than theoretical. Yeah, theory is not always work in the real world.
You have to prove it. If you do it, but guys like Howard Rush, I wish I had half of his math knowledge. He's
amazing.
He's amazing, and I know he figures this geometry, control geometry out. I think he practically figures it out in his head,
He probably does.
I doubt it.
Yeah, but
You don't think
ultimately,
so, Trent?
even him, he has to put his theory into practical application and see if it'll actually work.
Absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't. It's not a. It's like anything. If you don't prove it,
Yeah,
and
the proofs.
it doesn't. It's not a proven theory. It's just a theory.
Hey, Ed, welcome to the show.
Hi,
I'm
Ed.
not putting you to sleep. All this math.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
The first real pants, as you can see.
One thing I know unequivocally.
That's
That's
all
pretty
super
big.
monocoat. That's not.
That is really pretty.
So I just finished the first.
Hang on,
real
Peter.
pants.
Let me make you big, Peter. Let me.
Show it again.
There you go. You're big now. Show it again.
Okay. So, geez, I finished the first world pant in monocoat. So that's chrome, transparent blue, gold, and slate black.
Wow.
I did the outside, and right now I
Move a
got
little bit slower, Peter. Move slower. Your connection. Move slower. There we
Wow,
go.
that is amazing.
That is sharp.
Wow, that's really amazing.
That's as pretty a monocoat job as I've seen. I would just
guys
put
do
that
a
up.
good monocoat job. I don't know why they would have to take a hit over a painted job. A good monocoat job is just as difficult.
Well, the best I've ever seen with monocoat was one of the guys that helped develop it, Dan Sanich. He lived near here when last few years he lived. And he was amazing what he could do with monocoat. But I never, as hard as he tried, he could not teach me how to work that stuff. I just never
Charlie
got the knack for it.
Charlie Bauer was pretty high up in the AMA. He's pretty high up in the AMA at one time. Go ahead, Pete.
For this, for this piece here, this is the other side. The overall color I wanted to be chrome with the color accents coming on after it. So for this size piece here, I cut a piece of monocoat that is that size there. You see how much bigger it is?
Yeah.
And what you do is what you learn with monocoat, no matter what part you're surfacing, you need to have stuff here to grip and grip, because what you're doing is you're heating this surface here. And you see, this is a weird compound curve. So as you're heating this surface here, the monocoat, you grab this part and you stretch it. And as you stretch it, once it's heated, the wrinkles even out. They pretty much disappear. Then you can go over there and start working an iron along that edge, but you pull it tight. You turn around, you work your iron.
So you're heating
on
and stretching,
that edge, pull it tight again, get into those corners and flatten them out, because monocoat will stretch quite a bit when it's hot. So if it stretches, that means it'll go into, it will actually fit into curves. Chrome doesn't stretch as well as some of the color. Let's say
it's got metal in it.
It's real easy. You have to be careful though, because it stretches a lot. And your transparents will stretch. Your solid colors will stretch. Chrome is one of the ones that doesn't stretch as well as the others, so you have to have some extra patience. But the whole point is to get a good monocoat finish. Give yourself plenty of material to sit here and then pull and stretch over and hold down with your other finger while you're heating it. Whoops.
Now, do you ever use like a cold cotton ball to keep some part from moving?
That you use when you don't use that on so much small pieces like this. Wow. But if you when it comes time to let me see, do a joint.
That's pretty, Tom. Thank you.
Let's say we go here. My fuselage and my spab elevator. All right. So what you have is this space right here, either on the bottom, it could be on the bottom of the wing. This is stabilized, bottom of the wing or bottom of the top. Then what I would do in that instance, where is it? Once that's glued in, I would use some of this microfilm, or micro balloons or whatever, and I will run a nice filleted bead right down in here, so it's a nice convex corner. Wait until it dries, sand it, and then I go over and use pink. Pink is I'm not going to be using this as throwaway stuff. I don't know how I ended up with pink anyway. I have.
Hey, Tom, Peter, hang on a second, Peter. Can you change your video just since you're showing us? Is your video so like not pixelated, but it's really blurry? Probably because
I'm on low bandwidth. That's why.
Yeah, just go a little bit higher, just for you, and everybody else stay low. It's kind of hard to see what you're doing.
Video quality high. Let me do high.
Maybe just went up. You know,
that made a heck of a change.
That looks good.
So imagine that this surface in here is now kind of like concave. It's a U fillet with a microfilm.
Yeah.
What I do in this case is I'll turn around and I'll take. It's a strip. It's not really cut very finely. But I would turn around and I would lay the strip in here, like this, right, to follow the curve.
Yeah.
I would take my gun,
right,
my iron, and I just tack that one corner, right. Once that corner is tacked, I can turn around, and because I won't have to hold it with this hand, I'd have a cotton ball or some wet material underneath this finger, and as I pull, you see, I use the curved part of the iron. As I pull that curved part of the iron in, I follow along with this finger with the cotton swab, the cold cotton swab, to bring it all the way to the front. And what that does is it allows the monocoat to stretch a little bit and actually fill that concave aspect of it. So like I said, hold on.
So then when you go to cover the elevator, you just cover up to that piece there and not have to try to make a curve.
Because this piece right here is kind of small. I may have, that's popping apart because I'm not moving. This piece may be, 1 inch wide, not a quarter inch wide. You follow what I'm saying? I do these first on all of the images, and then I will take regular monocoat and I'm overlap it here and cover out the rest of the surface. Follow?
That's neat.
Yeah, follow.
That's neat.
That's very way, neat. Okay. Monocoat in the fillet, and if you have enough to grab in the front, you heat the monocoat before it actually touches the wood. Heat the monocoat before it touches the wood. Stretch it and then pull it into that space, and you'll get 99% of the wrinkles out. Then you can turn around and smooth it out with the iron and use your razor blade to make the trim.
So now you obviously have to make bigger pieces so when you grab it, you're not burning your fingers.
Yeah, that's what you want to have. If you want to have an inch, 2 inches of extra material that you can grab onto without getting too close to whatever you're using to heat the surface.
Okay. All right.
Makes
That's
sense.
the problem I have. I keep getting burned. I even use gloves because I don't want to get burnt.
Well, you can, but you still, if you only give yourself a half an inch to grab onto, unless you really got the fingers like vice grips, you really can't get the. You follow what I'm saying? Because so let's say you only have half an inch to grab onto. That's like that. Let's say that's where this little cut is here. You have that much to grab onto, but then your heating thing has got to be right there. Even if you have a glove on, you can't really, get into that space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I need to
Well,
not be so cheap.
you leave yourself at least this much to where that cut is. So you're holding it back here, but the last place you're doing wood is where that cut is, and you start half an inch between you and whatever you're using
Yeah.
to heat the material.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've been just been too frugal. I think that's my problem's been.
No, it's not.
I think that's what we're all doing.
It's not being
Trying to
too
save money.
frugal. Monocoat is expensive, so basically you want to use that has a little amount of waste as possible. But I will clue you in on your next build if you want to use some of the same colors, and I don't throw any scraps away unless they're like this size. This size is small, I throw away. But if you have a 2-inch wide piece of monocoat that is 48 inches long, depending on how wide your wing panel is, that you ultimately end up trimming off the wing, and that 2 inches by whatever width, 36 inches, is so you can grab on and stretch the material appropriately when you're covering the wing. Then you put that 2-inch by 35-inch piece away. It doesn't go bad, and you have it in that color. Next time you need to make thin strips like this to do the fillets or do anything else on a model that requires a thin strip like that, you already have it in stock, so it doesn't go to waste.
Good idea.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.
Now, when I was in the Milwaukee club, the Circle Masters, a fellow by the name of Charlie Bauer, who worked for Top Flight, he was the guy that did the monocoat demonstration. Charlie. You know Charlie? Yeah. Is he still alive?
I don't think so. I don't know. Don't know, but I don't think so.
Yeah, he was a master at monocoat. He used to demonstrate it at the various shows, you know. Anyway, he came up and was a guest speaker at the Circle Masters Club there in Milwaukee, and he brought a bunch of monocoat up and some uncovered structures of that, and he showed us a lot of neat stuff, and a lot of what Pete just showed us is similar or very close to what he did. But what he did a little bit different is he used a little trim first to tack, like for instance when he tacked like that fillet that he was doing or covering for the fillet strip that Pete showed us. But instead of using the iron, he would get out his air gun or his heat gun, and he would put the heat to it and stretch it, and it would form right into that as he stretched it around. Then he'd hold it, a wet piece of cloth and cool it. And when he got done, it was down. But he also, for instance, like if he did that on the wing, when he got ready to cover the wing, he would tack the wing with that trim iron, and then he'd pull it lengthwise, and he'd just tack it a little bit, 2 or 3 places at the tip, and then he'd stretch it crosswise, tack it, and then he'd get out the heat gun, and as he got out the heat gun, he would pull up the tacks on the end of the wing. He'd have somebody hold the fuselage, and he'd put pressure on it. He'd use the heat gun. He would form all his monocoat before he ever used sealed it down. So everything is formed.
You can actually, like Jim says, you can actually tack it down, lift it up, stretch it, tack it down again a couple of times. You'll be able to do that a couple of times before the glue gets all screwed up. Yep.
Anyway, what it does is you get very little chance of wrinkling. Your tips work out really well. You know, he'd do that, and he would pull it when he got ready to not tack her, but to seal everything down. That piece was stretched nice and tight, and there were no wrinkles. You know, he did a lot of prep work. For instance, like his trailing edge, where his pocket was for his flaps. Tom, what he showed us there, Tom? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. He would lay in a piece, overlap it, leave an 1/8 inch overlap top and bottom, so that I love that type of iron that he's got there. coverite iron and a trim iron.
Yeah, I got
I wouldn't know
those
what to do without that trim iron. Anyway, when you get all this pre-work done, and he showed us all that, it was great to learn from the guy who worked for Top Flight doing monocoat. You know, it was great.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. What
He
Pete
helped develop the stuff.
Yeah, and Pete is dead on with what he was showing you. Dead on. You plan ahead with monocoat, and you don't make mistakes. First, if you decide to do the fuselage, you start at the bottom first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and because you want all of the laps, so that when you're standing up, you don't see the lap. You're looking across the lap, so you can get the lap sealed down very good. And then you put your side piece on, and then you put your top piece on, and you bring that around and set down. So all of your laps are done. And if you do something on a wing like this, well, not like this that Tom did, but let's just say you did a tricolor, straight patterns on the wing. You start at the back, and you move forward so that all of the laps are facing backwards. So you have less chance of getting air underneath the edge. It's an art. You don't. It's a little faster than dope. But it can look really good if it's done right. But you'll never get the points for it. The best points I ever got on an airplane was 18. Which wasn't bad.
Nice.
18's pretty good.
That's 18 on a monocoat job. That says a lot.
Well, it was a good
score.
Look what Mike's got hanging up there.
Mike needs to paint up on it now. Mike needs to paint up on it now.
Yeah.
When you're doing colors and you're doing trim patterns, you have to be just as how would you say, just as
Mike.
Organized. Nice, where your colors are going to be, what color is going to be the first, the second color, third color. Then you make templates and you cut your colors out almost as if they're going to be masks, but they're not. They're actually the color.
That's what I like about having the plan on the computer, because I can take out all of the bulkheads and all. Just so I've got the outlines of the wing and the fuselage. I can lay that on there, and I can lay out the trim, and then I can print up those patterns full size, and now I can just go up and just cut the monocoat right to the size I want it, and make what I'll do is say I got three colors in a pattern on a wing. I'll lay them all out. I'll get a piece of glass. I'll tack them, and then I'll seal them down good and that they won't stick to the glass. I'll pick it up. It's like one sheet, all pattern, and just lay it down on there. Do it very carefully, but I'll stretch it and put it down.
Wait a minute, is that how you do that?
Yeah, that's how you do that. Yeah.
you just stick it to glass. I always wondered how you did that.
If you notice, this is like a super monocoat piece of supermarket clear blue. If anybody's ever done car tint and stuff like that, and you have an intricate design that you've cut out in any kind of monocoat, and you need to position precisely, take a little bit of soapy water or Windex or something, spray down the surface underneath, and then lay your super monocoat down on top of it and orient it exactly the way you want. Take a towel, blot out all the water and the air bubbles underneath it. Hit it and once it's dry, hit it with a hot air gun, not too strong of a temperature so it doesn't shrivel up on you, and boom, you're done. Even if you don't use soapy water and whatnot, again, this is a piece of super monocoat. With the adhesive backing taken off, I can turn around, and as you can see, this sticks. I can turn around, it'll stick to the monocoat underneath it. And I can turn around and I can stick this down here, use my fingers, work out the air, and then turn around and go over with the heat gun, trim the edges, and I'm done. because this actually, whoops, doesn't have that much surface tension. And it's got some dirt on it, and it's trying to peel away. But super monocoat has some sort of tack that'll lay right on regular monocoat, so I can turn around and I can leave it there, and it will not fall off. See, it's stuck there.
What Peter
Pretty
just
neat.
showed
Didn't
us
know that.
was something that's very important with monocoat. What he just showed us was make sure you go over, vacuum off, and tack rag your surface, because any little piece of dust or any little speck of something underneath there shows up like a boulder. So, you know, I had to go to
even if you're using,
I had to
even
go
if
to
for the first layer, even if I was taking this, if I was taking this as the first layer of monocoat and applying it to this balsa here, the raw balsa underneath, this balsa better be clean. No dust, no nothing on it. It should be absolutely clean. To take a tack rag, wipe it off, even if you have to wipe it off a little bit wet. And the same thing holds for the adhesive side of the super monocoat. Make sure you don't have any oil or grease or something on there, unless of course you're placing it on top of other monocoat already, where you want to use a little bit of dishwashing detergent to get it slid into place and to be able to push your air bubbles out. But if you're going on to virgin balsa or virgin plywood, it has to be clean. I mean, no dust, because the dust, if dust is on there and it gets between the monocoat and the balsa wood surface, the monocoat will just it will stick to the dust, no problem whatsoever. Thing is, it will not stick to the underlying surface, and you'll have if not immediately, you're going to have nightmares down the line.
Right.
You can use the monocoat trim solvent. If you use that on the edges, that'll keep it from lifting off the surface of the monocoat.
I've never had to
protect those edges from
I've always used monocoat.
Man, I've used fingernail polish. I've used clear lacquer.
One of the things with monocoat, one of the reasons many of us use it, one of the reasons many of us use monocoat is my wife couldn't stand the smell of the paint.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't paint inside. If I went outside, I'd have blowing dust. And, dust doesn't look good in a paint job either.
Know the feeling well.
So I could do a decent monocoat job in the shop, and it wouldn't offend anybody. And like I say, a monocoat job done right.
Guys, let me interrupt for a second. I'm going to go and end this stream, but we can continue on. It's 9:30 out here in the West Coast out here, and so I wanted to thank everybody for watching, and I'd like to ask you to subscribe and become a member of the Stunt Hangar. It really helps Sparky with the expenses of doing this live shows and the the events that he goes to, and give us some likes, give us some super chats. That would also help as well. So we had quite a bit of conversation going on the chat.
Somebody mentioned a finishing tutorial with monocoat. Yeah, we'll look it up on the chats at some point.
Hang on, Peter.
Put together a real quick and dirty one.
I'm trying to end the show. Hang on, Peter. So, anyways, I'd like to thank you. We'll be back Monday night, same back channel, same time, and like to see you back here again. And I'm going to close the stream out. And here we go.